Everybody, happy Thursday. Go ahead and start out with the lefties losing it. You know what I'm saying? Because they are. They losing it every day, and every day we got to keep praying for these people. Because they need it. So let's get into it.
Losing it. Now, remember when comedians were funny, and among the funniest was Larry David, the man who brought us Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now he's just another tiresome, permanently outraged, Trump deranged miscreant.
The White House did it much differently with the UFC fight. What did you think about that?
It was a travesty. Yeah. What else can you say about it? It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed to be an American. Yeah.
Seriously, so
Man, he fell off, man. These actors be falling off, man.
He has almost become a caricature of himself, like a character from Curb. Remember when he was funny, he was edgy,
Right, he was
not
funny.
afraid to joke about anything? Here is a reminder when he insulted the Ayatollah and had a fatwa placed on him.
No! I'll repent! I'll be punished!
Even if Larry David repents, he will be condemned to death.
I'll convert! I'll become a Muslim!
Even if Larry David converts to Islam, he should still be sent to hell.
Damn.
Jump! You got a fatwa! I got a fatwa!
Yeah. Can we please get that Larry back? Now, what is it with the Democrats and violence? Watch how Democrat Senate candidate Seth Moulton reacts when a journalist asks him a simple question, whether he supports fellow Democrat Graham Plattner.
Do you endorse Graham Plattner in Maine?
Who are you? Who are you asking this question? Can you hang on to that? You got to do a better job at hanging on to your phone.
Was that an assault? And here are a few lefty activists laying hands on a Christian protesting against their Pride event in Amarillo, Texas. Yeah, pretty sure you can't just manhandle folk who may not agree with your Pride celebration. It ain't mandatory. And you would have seen me call for the asylums to be reopened. I've done that quite a few times. That fill up very quickly. In the meantime, women are voluntarily going to anger retreats to do this. Now to DC, where pink and green-haired freaks are literally thanking the algae for fighting fascism.
That's crazy.
She is doing good today, honey. Algae, everybody's proud of you. You are single-handedly doing more to fight fascism than any American has. Yes. Yeah, algae. Woo, algae!
Yep. Crazy. Now let's hear from Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester from Delaware. She tries to explain here where in the world the failed doctrine of socialism has actually worked. She doesn't do very well.
Where has socialism ever worked, Senator?
Is that another question, or is that for the next?
Just answer the question. What has ever
that's
worked?
Definitely for you. You said fish doesn't work everywhere. I just want to know one place where socialism has been beneficial.
Well, when you have me come back on, we can talk about all the races across the country.
Yes, she's going to go away and think about that one. She'll workshop it, and I'll come up with some harebrained answer of socialism working. Only it won't be socialism. It will be a capitalist society with a strong safety net, a generous welfare program, and they'll try to label that socialism. Don't fall for it. We already have socialists winning in places like New York. This week, Mayor Zoran Mamdani endorsed 3 candidates, and all 3 won their congressional primaries, including this imbecile, Brad Lander, whose entire philosophy is calling his opponents fascists and promising to disrupt the economy in the name of solidarity.
I said it was the force we need to vanquish our biggest foes. Yeah. And I don't mean Wemby and the Spurs. Solidarity is the force that we need to vanquish Trump's fascism, to abolish ICE, Stand up to the billionaires who are rigging our economy against us.
And if you think the socialists that have
They said the billionaires are rigging the economy, yet at the same time you want their money. That's crazy.
just won big in New York are moderates or that they're just anti-Israel and not anti-America, well, you're kidding yourself. Here is Democrat socialist Abir Kawas, who just won the Democratic primary for a state Senate seat in New York. Here she is saying 9/11 was really America's fault because of all that colonization and slavery and genocide.
And so and finding that the system of capitalism and racism and white supremacy, et cetera, have all, and Islamophobia have all been used, to colonize lands, right, to take resources from other people. And so this is like a long trajectory. And we're just seeing the manifestations of that continuation, right, with 9/11. And so a lot of times when people are asking us to respond about, attack, right, if you look back historically, right, a lot of us come from lands that were colonized, lands where wars are being waged, right, a lot of times because of U.S. policy or the policies in Europe. And so I find that we can connect over that, but then also that the idea that we have to apologize for a terror attack that a couple of people did, and then there is no apologies or reparations for genocides and for slavery, et cetera, is something that I kind of find reprehensible.
She finds the lack of apology from America reprehensible. 25 years ago, after the devastation of 9/11.
This is why we can't have people that's not born here in America come here with this ideas. This is America. This is not y'all country. This is America. We got a constitution. Respect it. Don't try to change it. Respect it. Come on, y'all. They voting these people in with these crazy ideas. Free, 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 free. No, there's no such thing as free.
9/11, did anyone imagine someone like her with her worldview, with her virulent anti-American perspective, would be elected in the very city where Islamists murdered thousands? This is what happens when you surrender universities to the...
I understand forgive, but don't forget. That's crazy. I'm not blaming the young lady or nothing like that, but her idea is still death to America, or America is not a great country, then she shouldn't be here, because America is great.
The radical left, and don't take a stand for your country or for your culture. Let's bring in documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, we're told diversity is our strength. What did you make of Mamdani's candidates doing so well? It was a clean...
We got to vote red, you guys. There's no way these three people, socialists, is winning. And that's sad because the generation that's young, they not doing no research. They hear everything is free and they going right with it. And the social media is the way to get, your information around. And everybody using these old tactics to get the information around. It's not working. Zohran Mamdani using Instagram, TikTok, and it's working with these 10-second clips. Instead of people just doing more research behind what he's talking about and his policies, they tweaking. They going right along with it. Good morning, Brian Reedy. Good morning. They going with it. And no research.
Sweep, 3 from 3.
All hail Mamdani. Wow, that was something. Look, you threw a lot out there.
And see, they call him a king of New York. I thought they don't like kings. What's up? The hypocrisy with these names and these words when it comes to these liberals and Democrats. King of New York. I thought you guys don't like kings.
Right, in these three different clips, there's a lot to cover here. I'll go through them as quick as I can. But first of all, going back to that Brad Lander clip, there is nothing more cringe than watching beta males like Brad Lander and Mamdani pretend they're sports experts and they know about the sports landscape. Oh my God, enough of that. But look, this is no joke, Rita. This is real troubling stuff because we're not talking about like DC and Chicago. We're talking about New York City, which is not only the largest city in America, right? Obviously, but also one that has been historically pretty moderate, right? Like out of the last 33 years, 24 years, those 33 years have been Republicans or moderate Democratic mayors or independents who have ruled New York. And now we've seen, de Blasio, and now we're seeing Mamdani, who are absolute and complete radicals. And Mamdani, again, the DSA, right?
Pretty much is
I think stands for destruction of the state of America, is now the dominant, becoming the dominant force in New York City politics, and by extension, one of the more dominant forces in the entire country. The Democratic Party. And it's not just that the DSA
is a box of crap wrapped up in a shiny package with a pretty bow. Yep.
Is winning races, which they are, not just in New York, we've seen them in DC, we've seen them all over the country, different parts of the country. It's that they're now setting the tone for the Democratic Party, right? They are they're using the lingua franca of the DSA, genocide, right? And institutional racism. These are the words coming out of more moderate Democrats. They are setting the tone for the Democratic Party, if not the electoral tone for the Democratic Party. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Like you said, this is the Democratic Socialists of America is not the Democratic Socialists of Europe. Like, these are not Swedes with tweed jackets riding bicycles. Not the same people. I just want to read you a list of the groups associated with the DSA, right? That they say they are part of the caucus of the DSA. The Marxist-Leninists, the Trotskyists, the eco-socialists, the Orthodox Marxists, the evolutionary socialists. These are people that identify at a caucus and are part of the DNA and the structure of the DSA, okay? And like Quas said there, right, that incredibly hopeless, stupid young woman who is now, and again, going to be an elected official of the Democratic Party. They want the destruction of this country. Full stop. I don't
understand how these people come. Y'all vote these people in, man. They don't care about America at all. They want to change the Constitution. No, you cannot do that. We're not on that. Big Beautiful Bill, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys like this setup compared to how I use my cell phone. I forgot to use my laptop this way where you can see me and I can give you guys a better picture. Yeah, good morning. But yeah, these people are insane, man.
Lisa Chevalier, right, who won the primary and therefore will be a sitting congressperson, right? She has said unequivocally, right? Unequivocally, she wants to see the destruction of Western civilization. You got to get.
There you go, right there. And they saying it out loud. And then people still voting for them, thinking that's okay. No. America is great, man. Stop voting for the goofy people in it. That's the problem.
Credit for going big, right? Go big or go home. Forget the USA. All of Western civilization. She says we need to be led by the global South. She's called for violence against America. I want to read you. She has deleted nearly 4,000 tweets. Rita, do you know how hard it is to delete 4,000? Just physically click, delete. It's a lot of time. Okay, here's just some of them. All pigs are haram. That's a twofer, right? That's her Islamic green credentials. And also, I hate cops and want to see the cops.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Right?
Good morning. Like, share, and subscribe.
Seize the means of production.
Chat,
that's straight up Marxism. There's no way to hide that. And of course,
we got to vote red, you guys. There's no way 3 of these people won in New York like that with the socialist BS. They put the word Democrat socialist. No, they're just socialists. That's just crazy. This is crazy, man. It's not going to work. You can't keep on taxing the billionaires and think they're going to stay around. It's not going to work that way. Period. I don't get it. Then when they leave, now it's on the sit downs on the middle class and the poor. And then after they're going to raise property taxes, it's just straight chaos. Nothing is free.
My favorite, I'm sure you've talked about it. I forgot my napkin, so I wiped my hands with the American flag behind me. This is the stuff we are
right.
talking
No respect
about.
for the,
And
I'm saying, for the
younger
American
people
flag.
leading
Come
this.
on, y'all. They voted in. She got no respect for the Constitution, order for American flag, and they voting these people in. That's insane. They have no respect for America, but they voting them in, man, because of the free stuff they keep on offering. And this young generation doing no research, stuck on social media. As parents, gotta make sure they stay out their phone sometime, get their phone a break, and see what they're looking at. Because this social media stuff, they got endless scrolling. You can just scroll endlessly and straight rot your brain. When you ask them what they looked at, they don't remember what they looked at. Because there's so much information, and brain rot is destroying them.
Rita, I remember going to Washington Square Park in New York 10 years ago, and you had the communists of USA standing there for years, and it was always these old, kind of pathetic people from the 60s. Now they're hot young women who are handing me this stuff. So this is really revolutionary, if I could use the terms of Marx myself.
Well, this success in New York and elsewhere, as you've mentioned, it's got the wider Democratic Party pretty excited. Politico is reporting about the Democratic Socialists causing a political earthquake, and they're coming for 2028. Army, is it crazy to think that perhaps by 2028 we could have one of these characters on the ticket, perhaps as president or even as a running mate? It seems incredible that you could have some sort of a Marxist being in the White House.
Yeah, look, I love doing, winners and losers and for the night. So obviously one of the big winners is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? Now she has two paths to significant power now, right? So path number one is she could run for the Senate, right? That is clearly an obvious. She's been talking about that for a long time. We've all been speculating about that. And she also has a path to the presidency. One of the big losers is Chuck Schumer, right? Because this was a big loss for him because the power of the DSA and their muscle flexing, their control of the Democratic institutions of power in New York are now becoming very, very clear. But look, I've been saying this over and over again on your show. Do not sleep on AOC. This is before these elections as a presidential contender, right? The money out there, right? Look at where the betting markets are at. Kalshi has her at third. Polly Markets has her as a strong second. And she's running very high in the polls as well. So she's 100% a player in this whole thing. And, Michelle Romer, who is the national co-chair of the DSA, kind of laid out what the plan is. Like, we talked about how radical they are, and they realize they know how radical they are because that's themselves, right? They look in the mirror when they go and shave. But she said, we need to take down the language and talk the language normalcy. Smart move, because people want to believe that all the DSA stands for is universal health care, higher taxes. And they're going to play that game until they reveal themselves when they actually have power. The game plan is, look, it's very simple. You take over one party, in this case, the Democratic Party, you got a 50-50 shot. Now, the good news is, I don't think it's good news, but because I think having radicalism on the left is just not good news. But for the Republican Party, this plays for them. This makes their path easier in 2028, as long as they don't do anything stupid, and I'm not sure I would bet on that.
Come on, you Republicans. Don't do nothing stupid, you guys. We got this. We got this.
Well, I just can't see any of the front runners for the Republicans being anywhere as big a liability as an AOC or any of the other socialists that could potentially put their hand up. I mean, these people are crazy, and they have a record of saying just crazy radical stuff that the American mainstream is not going to like. And even if it's AOC, my gosh, I could just imagine the attack ads that the Republicans would run if she's on the ticket. I want to ask you about the Trump administration seeking almost $700 million for the removal of Iranian nuclear materials for inspections and other verification efforts. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also warned that there will be consequences if Iran does not stick to its end of the deal.
If they don't keep them, the president has multiple options at his disposal. That includes sanctions and includes other things. So I think the president's been cleared. If we're going to get a deal, it has to be a real deal and it has to be a good deal. If Iran wants to make a good and real deal, the United States is open to that. If they're not, then of course the president has options. We want this to work out. We hope it works out. But if it doesn't, the president knows what his options are. And
Army, do we have the Trump administration all on the same page now? Because there's been a lot of talk about a split. You've got Rubio and Hegseth on one side, and you've got JD Vance and perhaps the president on the other side. Where is the administration on this issue? And could you see a deal with Iran sticking?
Well, let me ask the second one first. No, I don't see a deal with Iran sticking, because you're dealing with liars and people who are who spent the last 50 years trying to fight the West and the United States as the evil ones in the world. So no, I don't see a deal happening there. But on your first question of whether or not they're united, I mean, they say they are, but I've said it before. I don't think they are, and I think that Rubio right there is, he's the adult in the room for sure. But just take his discussion about terrorism that he talked about. He said the MOU absolutely covers terrorism and making sure that Iran does not continue to support and pay for terrorism around the region, the Middle East. And then you have Vance, who has been very milquetoast and wishy-washy when it comes to Hezbollah and Israel. In fact, not just implicitly, he said explicitly that Israel has a lot of blame when it comes to responding to Hezbollah attacks on their soil, on their country. Remember, the entire north of Israel still cannot be in their homes for the last couple of years because of continuous Hezbollah rocket attacks. That is not something that a country could live with.
Thanks for staying with me. Thanks for staying with me, you guys. I'm gonna get a better internet.
Centrifuges again and separate the highly enriched from the lower enriched. Down blending is a 0 for me, okay? And the commander of the IRGC, he said it, he let the game out. He said it plainly. He said the West foolishly thinks again that we're giving something up. I hope he's wrong, because that's going to be a huge problem for our world.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Sorry about that, you guys. Thanks for staying with me. Lost a little internet connection right quick, but I'm back, as you can see. Thank you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Bigger story of this president. Everyone and all the other senators that this woman has no idea what she's talking about. Let's dive in. The U.S. Postal Service.
I love political brawl. He be coming with some good facts, man. He know his stuff, man. You can tell who be reading and studying the media a lot. These guys be coming with some good facts and info.
Service is now part of this bigger story of this president desperate to federalize our elections. He has tried every which way
to say that if he and his party don't win in these November elections, they were rigged. He said it in the State of the Union. You are being used as part of a much bigger story that this president is trying to play out, where he does not believe elections that he loses are valid elections. He's willing to do just about anything to show that he's actually a big winner, no matter what he does. And I just ask you, as a professional, as someone who's done serious things in your life, please push back on being a pawn in this authoritarian playbook. The Postal Service is one of the most important institutions in our country. Don't taint it with the obsession of this one man. Please push back.
You know, one of the things about politics that's different than business is that there's a lot of people who love to talk here. When I came in, it was interesting. I had my team put together a very fancy binder. It was about post office reform. But the hearing has turned into a mail-in balloting conversation and principles of the Constitution, which is very, very heartwarming to somebody who swore an oath to the Constitution when I became a U.S. citizen when I was 18. So are you familiar by any chance? I don't expect you to, but just in case. There was a bill that the Democrats brought up during the Biden administration. And as you know, bills are numbered. So bill number 1 is the first one they do. And then I think we're now in bill number 5,000. But it's called H.R. 1. And then it was also S1. So meaning it was the number 1 priority of Democrats in the House and Democrats in the Senate. Do you remember what that bill is about?
I don't.
You wouldn't. I wouldn't expect you to. I was like, you a business guy that paid attention to all this stuff. It was called the For the People Act. The Democrats are phenomenal at false advertising. So what the For the People did is it basically nationalized our elections. So this bill that they had that was their number 1 priority was about nationalizing the elections. So I know that we live in a world where there's supreme hypocrisy, but the idea that Democrat witness after Democrat witness, instead of talking about how to fix the post office, we're talking about the scandalous idea that somehow states' rights were being violated. And yet, 3 years ago, they wanted to take over the entire election system for the United States of America, not to give it more voter integrity, but to diminish voter integrity. Universal mail-out ballots, unsolicited ballots that would go out, automatic voter registration, regardless of whether there's a test to see that person is a citizen. And Mr. Chairman, you were here, you'll remember, they couldn't get it passed because, of course, here you have to get 60 votes, right? We have to get 60 votes. So what did the Democrats advocate for? What did they fight for to get this passed? They want to get rid of the filibuster. They wanted to get rid of the filibuster so that they could pass nationalized elections. 3 years later, all of them are testifying to say, it's outrageous. President Trump's trying to nationalize our election. He's not. He's trying to get rid of voter fraud. How dare you guys talk about getting rid of the filibuster? If it wasn't for Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, that would have happened. They would have made D.C. and Puerto Rico a state. They would have packed our Supreme Court. But now, all of a sudden, they dug up from their bottom desk drawer the United States Constitution, and they're appalled as they're here talking to you. It's a total disgrace. But so let me get back. Should we get back to post office stuff now?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's talk about the post office. If the post office inspector were to look at unsolicited mail-in, mail-out ballots, where you go to an apartment complex and one unit is receiving 6 ballots, that's a problem, right? Meaning, if there's only one human being that lives in that apartment and that one human being is receiving 6 ballots, none of which are in their name because they've been turned over to movement, you wouldn't just suggest, and my Democrat colleagues have left, Elvis has left the building here, but you would not suggest that one person receive ballots that they didn't ask for that aren't even in their name. You would view that and go, wow, this is a problem, correct?
That's what our Postal Inspection Service is there for, is to look for those type of situations. And, we don't open mail. We don't stop the delivery of mail. But we can certainly go to other agencies from a law enforcement point of view.
And say, hey, this is a problem. We're seeing this. We're seeing this potentially illegal activity.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand. I just want to give a quick anecdote. I was asked by the government to go down to where I was born, Colombia, South America, and monitor the election down there. They don't allow mail-in balloting. And I asked the registrar, I said, well, why don't you allow people to vote by mail? There's some people who can't get to the polling locations, et cetera. And obviously we're in Colombia, so we're speaking Spanish. he turned to his aide and said, I don't think the senator is saying the right words. I'm not understanding his question. So I repeated it, and he looked at me quizzically, and he said, well, if you just mailed somebody a ballot without knowing who they were, who's receiving it, that would open the door to massive fraud. You'd have to be totally and completely insane to run an election that way. This is a country with the GDP of the size of LA, lecturing the United States of America on why our elections should be run better. And I think we should look at that as a moment of opportunity.
Amazing. Amazing, you guys. Yeah, mail-in ballots is not good. It takes too long. You're not physically doing it. Someone else can do it for you. I don't know. I don't like it. I like being in person with stuff. Like when I order my food, I like to go in there. Like drive-through. I do drive-through sometimes, but I prefer going there and order my food, see what's going on.
I have a little bit of knowledge of Colombian geography, and there's a sliver of Colombia that actually touches the Pacific Ocean, but they're cut off from the rest of the country by the Andes Mountains. And that would be a logical argument for mail-in ballots. You would want to make sure that the people that were in isolated areas could still get to the polls. However, even Colombia, the nation not exactly known for its lack of corruption, said that this is a dumb idea. Funny what happens when you cut USAID, all of a sudden, all the other nations start becoming a little bit more rational. It makes you wonder. But we're not having an argument over election integrity. This was initially an argument over the post office. The real reason the post office has been making the news in this case is because Democrats are realizing that, oh, our whole scheme for mail-in ballots is now basically under not just scrutiny, but a direct threat. If the president instructs the guy who's running the postal service, hey, I actually have legal authority to do X, Y, and Z. Can you please do X, Y, and Z? If this is threatening to the Democrat Party, well, guess what? That is a tell. All right, in poker, there's a thing called a tell. When someone who is not really good at keeping all their emotions in balance, they're basically telling you what kind of hand they have. Either they're really excited and can't stop being excited, or they're really nervous and can't stop being nervous. This is a nervous tell. The Democrat Party runs on this. They quite literally rely on these ballot schemes in order to work. That's because they were able to really churn up support for this during lockdowns, had a massive mega multimedia companies trying to push the idea of go out to get the vote out. They worked with the NFL, they worked with the NBA, and all of their commercials were, you need to go out and vote. But it came with the wink in nearly every single commercial. There's a long Time magazine article that I have had kept open on tab for 4 or 5 years now, outlining how companies did this. They basically aligned themselves with the Democrat Party with a wink and a nod. This happened. Now Trump is saying that there are certain parameters that the U.S. Postal Service will not accept. And all of a sudden the Democrats get nervous? Like I said, that's a tell. We can talk about ballot harvesting till we're blue in the face, but the weird thing about all of this is, again, why are we talking about mail-in ballots at all? We had a weird year in 2020, period. And we've been having weird years ever since Harambe. Okay? That year was traumatic. Although it's also because I'm a Falcons fan and 28-3. Anyways, I consider that part of the 2016 weirdness. The fact that we argue over mail-in ballots at all is baffling.
Yes, it is.
There shouldn't be a system where you can just unverifyingly say, yes, this is quite clearly my vote, and send it in. Instead of going to a place that has actual parameters, poll watchers from both sides of the aisle who go in there and agree on things. As a matter of fact, in the South, they stayed solidly Dixiecrat for over 100 years until Barry Goldwater's revolution started. My granddaddy was a Goldwater Republican, and he was a pastor, and he wound up going to multiple different areas, and they all said the same thing. You're a Republican, and we know you're gonna preach against our machines, but you had so much integrity that we're going to trust you to verify the votes.
Good morning, everybody in the chat. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for stopping by.
Granddaddy had to personally fight and call out sheriff's offices who would literally threaten people up in the hills. If you don't vote the way we want you to vote, you aren't going to get your food stamps. That's literally how they did it back in the day. That's actual evidence of vote harvesting. Remember, after World War II, a bunch of soldiers came home to the town of Athens in Tennessee and found something absolutely deplorable. Well, their ballots were being stuffed.
Damn.
And the people who were collecting the ballots were lying. It has happened in American history. And there's literally a battle over this. The veterans came back, basically got their guns, went to a local armory, and forced the corrupt system to be just dismantled. Now, I'm not calling for anything, but I'm saying that this is not unprecedented in American history. In the American West, you would have massive political divides because you had all of these war between the state veterans going over into the New West, and they would have the exact same political battle, sometimes even shootouts at headquarters of newspapers.
Damn.
This is American history. We take our elections very, very seriously. And so the argument over mail-in ballots, the fact that we have them to begin with, is a testament to our strength, but it's also a testament to our weakness. At one time, we could trust this. Now we can't. Something has been broken. And I don't think it was the Republicans that broke it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Political Brawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then,
like, share, and
y'all have a good one.
subscribe.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very clear. If the Democratic Party becomes the likes of Zoran Mamdani, who, by the way, I like, I'm not trying to throw any shade on him or anything like that, but if the Democratic Party becomes him, you have no chance. You have no chance on a national basis in terms of the presidency. In Senate seats in the House, you have no chance. You have no chance. I want to be very, very clear about that. You might have a Democratic Socialist sprinkled here and there, but that ain't what America is. America's about capitalism. America's about dollars and cents. America's about an economy, a flourishing economy. Okay? And you know what it's not about? Free stuff. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's 100% right. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was a political earthquake that just went off in New York. And I want to talk about it because it spells doom for the Democrat Party, as you just heard from somebody even like Stephen A. Smith. And I've been talking about this for quite some time, that there was this internal civil war within the Democrat Party. Now, obviously, from the outside looking in, they didn't portray that on the outside, right? But for anybody who's involved in politics, who's looking into this stuff on a daily basis like myself, it's clear and obvious what was going on in the Democrat Party. And you guys can attest. I've been talking about this for quite some time. And now it has officially bubbled to the surface. So in New York City, you had the establishment Democrats versus the new extremely far left AOC,
Socialist.
Bernie Sanders, Zoran Mamdani types. And guess who won in a landslide? Yeah. Zoran Mamdani types went 3 for 3. As a matter of fact, they went 4 for 4 in New York. Undefeated. And they didn't just barely win. They won in resounding fashion.
Crazy.
Resounding fashion. Okay? They trounced the establishment Democrats. And this is going to be quite interesting to watch, especially with the clip that I'm about to show you here in a second. And we're going to get into more of this here in a minute. But I want to show you a few clips of some of the folks who literally just won, these far left individuals. And yes, this is another episode of if you needed a reason to show up in the midterms, here you go.
This is where I get my title from, you guys. Watching this video earlier, I was like, yeah, we got to vote in the midterms. We got to vote red, period. This is ridiculous, man. Voting in people that do not love America. Voting people in that they don't love America. They voting them in. That's crazy. They do not have America's best interest at heart at all. And these people are voting them in. And they wonder why things not getting done. It's insane. I don't see how y'all keep voting blue no matter who and expect things to change. It's not gonna work. Like in Chicago, you get Chicago police, and then west of that you get Oak Park and you get River Forest. And Forest Park as well. They get very few police force, small police force. They're known for giving you tickets and boots, but you don't have that much crime out there on that side of town. But just less than a few minutes away, you got Chicago. It's chaos. More police, but yet they want to defund the police, but it's a lot of chaos in Chicago, and it makes no sense. And reason being because they keep on voting against their entrance, while people in Oak Park is voting for good land, peace, good schools, good housing, 2-family household, no problems in the Oak Park and Forest Park. Real nice housing, real clean. And then just a block over, you got the city, terrible, trash, alcohol store. Liquor stores everywhere, alcohol bottles all on the ground. Just great chaos in Chicago. And that's crazy. At least vote red at least one time in your life. I was a Democrat, now I'm a Republican, now I'm conservative. It's okay to switch, especially for the right reasons, the common sense, facts over feelings.
This is what the new Democrat Party has become. Check it out.
I'm also the only Muslim in my family. I reverted 3 years ago. Actually, the friend who pushed me to do it asked me, why have you fasted for 4 years and yet you haven't taken your Shahada? She's here today. And when she asked me that, I thought, that is a great question. And I thought for myself, why I hadn't taken the step yet. But it was seeing how all of my friends who were showing up to organizing, who are Muslim, were showing up in the space, and the grace and love and passion that they had in these spaces of social justice, that really pushed me to join the faith, and wanting to make sure that we are reflecting that I'm reflecting that in every space that I'm in, and that, inshallah, we make it to Congress, that we're reflecting that in the halls of power as well.
World Cup is here. The first match this weekend at MetLife Stadium taking place in New Jersey, even though some people say it is technically New York. But what do you think will win it all? Who are you rooting for?
Oh, I like Mexico.
Mexico, there you go.
I'm rooting for Senegal.
Senegal. Okay.
I want to still ask about 2 tweets specifically because I think they are relevant to the race. The first is all deportation is wrong. Now, in Congress, obviously, that comes with a lot of questions about immigration enforcement. And even as Democrats might agree with calls that you have shared to things like abolish ICE, I don't know if they're necessarily there on things like all deportation is wrong. Is that something you still believe?
That phrase, yes. I still believe that all deportations are wrong. And
even if we're talking about illegal entry to the country or someone who may have committed a crime?
So when we're talking about things like illegal entry.
See what I'm saying? She would open borders. That's crazy. No, we cannot have open borders like that. Cannot have it like that. And see, I don't think she was born here. And that right there goes to show you that she don't care about America. Just let anybody in. Stolen land. It was conquered.
We're actually talking about administrative laws, right? We're not talking about criminal law.
Let me concede the question of people who have not committed a crime, because I think that that's not really the question, man. Like, if we're saying all deportation is wrong, though, that would seem to also include people who were convicted of breaking U.S. criminal law. Is the deportation of those people wrong?
Yes, and the reason I say that is because we have a criminal system. It is imperfect, but it exists.
So waste our tax dollar money on people who don't live here. Put them in jail, go through the court case and all that. For what reason? Let's send them back. That's it. That's all you got to do. That way, when they do want to come back the right way. But to have them in court, in jail and all that, no, that's crazy. It's a waste of our money and time. These people not trying to come here the right way, some of them. And most of the guys that's coming over here is all men.
And it is one that if we accept as the process by which we want to engage with these issues, right? The issues of harm, issues of criminality, what have you, then we need to make sure that it is one that isn't also discriminatory on the basis of where people were born, right? To subject someone who has committed a crime to both a criminal system and then additionally to an immigration system that also detains them in the very same facilities that people who are convicted of criminal convictions are also held, right? And then deported and ripped away from everything they know and love. That is also punishment. And
so are we ready to free Palestine? Are we ready to abolish ICE? Are we ready to win?
America first. America first. Come on, man.
Medicare for all, housing for all, and unions for all.
Who's going to pay for it?
I know that's right.
Yeah. So that was just a little sample of the individuals that the Democrat Party is now pushing forth to
free, you guys.
Go to
That's
Congress.
insane.
I want to play this clip of some leftists who were looking at a screen with Hakeem Jeffries on it. Check it out. So if that was a little hard to hear, they were chanting, "You're next," in response to seeing a screen with Hakeem Jeffries on it. So yeah, the establishment in the Democrat Party is being rapidly pushed out, which is what I expected to happen. And, you know, part of me does feel a little bit bad, but then again, it's just like, you know, because it's like one of those things. Have you ever like seen a fight between two individuals? You know, both consenting individuals, they want to fight, let them fight. But then one of them gets beat so badly, you kind of feel bad for him a little bit. Like, geez, I mean, you kind of were asking for it, but boy, do you have a knot on your forehead. Or you messed up, you know? You feel a little bit bad. I got a heart. You know, I got a little bit of a heart. But it's the monster they made. So ultimately, they made their bed. So now they must lie in it. This is the monster that people like Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, this is the monster they made. And now they're being pushed out because of it.
Pushed out.
It's absolutely hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But let's jump into this because this is just wild stuff. Check it out.
A Fox News alert. And did you feel that? A socialist earthquake overnight as three Zohran Mamdani-backed challengers win their Democrat primaries and drag their party even further to the left. And while Mamdani becomes the party's new kingmaker, some Democrats are preparing to fight back.
Plus, President Trump making his economic pitch in Pennsylvania as gas prices fall. But the president has a new target that he says is making it harder for you to pay at the pump.
And foreign World Cup fans obsessing over ranch. I'm not talking about a one-story home. Right. I'm talking about the dressing. May be in luck trying to get it back home. We're going to tell you about the amazing and quick move by one brand to make sure our fellow humans throughout the world can bring what we give to the world, which is ranch, back to their home countries. It's what you need to know. You're watching Fox and Friends First here on a Wednesday morning. I'm Todd Pyre.
And I'm Carly Shimkus, and we begin with Madeline Rivera with the very latest on the primary results coming in this morning. And Maddie, it was a socialist sweep in New York City.
That's right, Carly and Todd. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani says the results of Tuesday's primaries were the beginning of a political movement. One of the far-left candidates he backed beat a 5-term incumbent in New York's 13th congressional district. Congressman Adriano Espaillat, the chair of the Hispanic Congressional Caucus, lost his seat to Democratic Socialist Darialisa Avila Chevalier.
So this is what I mean by like getting absolutely mollywopped. Dan Goldman was backed by Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, you know, the establishment folks. He's the incumbent. They tried to get him reelected, and it wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. He got mollywopped.
Molly.
You know, he got mollywopped electorally, of course. But yeah, I did. That is a beatdown if I ever seen one.
In New York's 10th congressional district, Mamdani-backed progressive leader Brad Lander ousted Congressman Dan Goldman, who was the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment trial. And in New York's 7th congressional district, another Democratic Socialist member, Claire Valdez, won the Democratic nomination. Chevalier and Lander have said they want to abolish ICE. They've also been critical of Israel. Valdez, meanwhile, wants a state takeover of utilities and housing and unions for all, and said Free Palestine was on the ballot.
Solidarity is the force that we need to vanquish Trump's fascism, to abolish ICE, and to stand up to the billionaires.
Abolish ICE. Free Palestine. Organize your union. And join DSA.
What we have delivered here today is a clear mandate that the era of taking a check and cashing a check and calling it representation is over.
What?
Outside of the Big Apple, South Carolina's State Attorney General Alan Wilson will become the Republican nominee for governor. President Trump initially...
New York needs to wake up. Chicago needs to wake up. California needs to wake up, man. Because somebody say something free, just go with it. No. I guess what they're saying, free for me. If it's free, it's for me. Y'all gotta be careful with that.
Endorsed Wilson's opponent, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, and she did finish first in the primary election. The president then decided to endorse Wilson and Evette in the runoff.
I believe he recognized what we've been doing for the last 10 years to support the things he was trying to accomplish with his administration. But also, I think he saw the fight that in our campaign, the energy in our campaign. And I think he likes a fighter. And I think that's what won him over. I want to thank you, Mr. President.
And in Utah, former Congressman Ben McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what we are going to need, because this Democrat Party, I'm telling you, they cannot get power. If they get power, we are in some deep trouble.
Going back to the
if
Stone
you thought
Age.
The Democrat Party was far left before, oh boy, you're in for a rude awakening, a massive rude awakening if these people actually get power in this country. We have to slam that door shut, electorally, of course, and never allow it to be opened. We have to beat them in such resounding fashion that they give in, they give up, they pack their bags and go home. Okay, so that means in November, we have to have a historic midterm election. One, because it would only be the 4th time in the past century that it has happened that the party in power stays in power. But then also in the races, we need to win them with a decent gap. It's not good enough to just win. I mean, that's already a slap in the face to the Democrat Party, right? Because the headwinds, I mean, the tailwinds should be behind the Democrat Party, just historically. It should be. That's the way things go. So, I mean, just beating them alone would be huge, but I don't think it'd be big enough. We have to beat, like, we have to have a gap. There needs to be, 8 points, 10 points in some races gap where there shouldn't have been a gap. You know, not saying that we cheated, but we showed up in massive numbers to send a message. With the way the Democrat Party is today, you'll never gain power ever in this country, ever. You got plenty of other countries across this planet that run the way that they are trying to run this country. Go over there. But here in America, we ain't doing that. We got to send a message. And then, of course, in 2028, we got to send another message. Massive message. Okay. I saw a poll. Was it on YouTube or was it on? I don't remember. I saw a poll somewhere that if it's some of the folks that I expect to be in 2028, ooh, yeah, we could have a massive win. We can get a massive win, but that's far off in the distance. We'll worry about that when it comes. We got to show up in these midterms, baby. So if you needed another reason to show up in these midterms, here you go.
Right. No mail-in ballots. Go vote in person. Bring your IDs. Bring your information that you need. And vote red. Do not be misled with these Democrats. Stop falling for the okie doke. On the real, do your research. Facts over feelings.
Here you go. Unless you want people like that running this country, you better show up. All right. Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about all of this. How do you think this is all going to play out for the Democrat Party? Do you think the establishment folks are just going to walk away?
Oh, I'm so sick and tired of being in Atlanta. Like, I was literally, I've only been working 4 hours to my new job, new location. And look, check this out. Getting in my car, you know what I'm saying? Getting in my car and stuff. Whoop. Must be the battery. You think it's the battery?
Think it's the battery, huh?
Let me show you something. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Look, check this out. They took my engine.
Diabolical.
Oh
my goodness.
Diabolical. They took the man engine, man. That's crazy. How they had the time to do that. These criminals be having time to do all this crazy stuff. They can do other things that's great. They took all that time to do all that, take this stuff out of that man's car without the alarm going off or anything. These people can do a lot of great things. They choose evil. That's crazy.
The engine.
That's sad.
They took the man engine.
And it took him 4 hours to do so. I'm not even mad, bro. I'm just impressed. How do you do this, bro? But man, just want to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just took the car and left me the engine. But you took it in.
Everyone knows crime is an issue in Atlanta, but let's just take a look at the demographics here. About 48% of the population is Black, but they do make up about 90% of arrests for violent crime. And if we go down here and we look at some more types of crime, like vehicle crime, well, they're over 60% of motor vehicle thefts and larceny thefts. You're looking at over 60%, and they are also disproportionate in burglaries. So there may be an issue
Crazy,
here.
yo.
That's just racist.
No, she didn't just drive on a line like that.
You understand how trifling and lazy you have to be to do something like
this?
that?
On a line like that.
Oh my gosh. Extremely. Oh my gosh.
That is petty as hell and lazy.
Wow.
Oh no. Couldn't even knock on the door.
Jeff Bezos fired her.
She took the picture, didn't she?
Wow.
Look at the tracks. And
then she gonna back up. That's on the land. That's
And I have a friend that works for
this
time, and that's not
Look at
allowed.
that, man. That's a good cut grass.
They can't even back out of a circle drive and have to drive forward.
That is a shame.
That is trifling.
When you look into the hidden rules, and she get fired, she gonna say it was because of race, not because she did the dummy. drought on people's grass like that, damaging their lawn. No respect. Nigga fatigue, not black fatigue, nigga fatigue.
Among social classes, the ruling class considers poor people the foolish class. They made up their mind and said, these people are uncivilized savages whose intellectual capacity requires them to be exploited. And that's why they're feeding everybody Dean the Great, Adrian Broner, people twerking on top of cars, twerking at funerals, spazzing out over Knicks games. So this creates a communication barrier between the two. Why do people in our community reject knowledge?
When you look at the spending power of Black America, I think billions are spent on sneakers and just, billions are just spent on nonsense each year. And this is a yearly accumulation. So it's like Black people would just set their attention on non-materialistic things. We could probably have a Wall Street, or we could probably have an economic state where Black people can actually grow and learn. But our attention is always focused on ignorance and just self-gratifying entertainment. You know what I'm saying? That we can never just focus our attention on the priorities. You know what I'm saying?
In the word, the Lord said that you fought against wisdom, you fought against the truth, you fought against the light, and then he leaves you in your reprobate mind. And what you see is pure reprobate mind in this community. It is, it's so crazy. And listen, y'all, I love all of my melanin, but there's moments where I wish I didn't have to be associated with this community. I felt it so much in the last few weeks. And one of the ladies that I know here in Atlanta sent me this graphic. The bottom line is all of the Black women that are leading in Atlanta. They have the politicians across Atlanta. The top line are all the Black women that they're trying to get into office now. So then you would literally have all of these Black women that you see here leading Atlanta, Georgia. This is what would happen, because the first picture is the lady who's running for governor. Y'all have to understand, the Lord trying to, let Black women speak, let Black women lead. No, I took the Black card, I incinerated it. Look, it is done. It doesn't exist.
But a Black card means nothing.
These people. They're evil. The reason that they're evil is exactly what I've been saying all along. All of you took your eyes off of God and put it onto ancestry and African spiritualism. Y'all brought in hoodoo and voodoo and witchcraft and all. The Lord is like, okay, this is what y'all want. Then you're going to get what you want. And understand, what you want is going to give you your reprobate mind. That is why you can't even look at a situation like Carmelo and say, right is right, wrong is wrong. You can't even say that. You can't say all of these children running around the streets, jumping in cars, twerking like they don't have the good sense that God gave them. You can't even say that's wrong. I'm telling y'all, turn back to God. Any of my Georgia residents, you better not put that line of Black women in charge. And you put these women up there, you have just invited Jezebel to fully take over this state.
Hey, listen, all I can say is that this is not something that's new. It's been around for a long time. We've been dealing with this for a long time. And I think we have our work cut out for us. It's not enough to say that we're not a part of them. We need to make that clear by the way we represent and way we speak up, because they're not going to speak up for us. Our actions and our character. We have to stop letting the media put us in the same category. These are not, this what's going on has nothing to do with skin color. This is character. This is spiritual depravity. And we need to keep it there. Because the media will try to spin it as a black thing. It's not a black thing. These are just black people who are acting stupid. And we need to keep it there. And so I don't feel I have to tell anybody that I'm not one of them. If you can't tell I'm not one of them by the way I act, then I'm doing something wrong. I'm not living enough. I'm not living enough. And Sister Nanny, when you get your turn to speak, please understand that you can say what you need to say here. Your ethnicity is irrelevant. Speak your mind, sis.
Well, I did want to follow what Crystal said. You know, there's no consequences.
There you go.
And when there's consequences, they fall in line. I just saw a video of a young lady who lost her diploma at university because of how she acted on stage, twerking and doing flips and doing the splits. They withheld her diploma.
Good.
That's a consequence. And if there were more consequences, there would be maybe more people falling in line.
Absolutely right.
The fact that the brother came outside and they stole his motor. Like, come on, y'all stole his motor?
Oh my goodness.
But that's Atlanta for you. Like if you're riding one of those Chevys, you know, and it has one of the big motors in it, or the one of those Hellcats or something along those lines that had that big motor, hey, they will steal your car. And now they're showing that, hey, we don't even need your car no more. We just want the motor, so we'll just take the motor.
But what concerned me, Brother Wise, is that he didn't even seem to mind. He was like justified almost, right?
He was like insurance.
Because after a while, some people just become numb.
Yeah.
You become numb.
Just numb and immune to the foolery.
Yes.
You know, they know what time it is. They know what time it is down there.
I think that to a certain extent it's funny, but there are some real consequences, as Nanny says, that are coming out of this fatigue and even this Carmelo Anthony case. And that is, slowly but surely, there is a conversation about segregation that is emerging from this. People are saying that they want to separate. Now, we haven't quite gotten to the point where people are saying separate with who and where and whatever, but there is a general tiredness of wanting of not wanting to subject yourself to these people and then have to be subjected to the consequences of their activity, like this gentleman who had his motor removed. Now, I'm looking at this, and like Minister Danzel says, if you don't know that I'm not like them, well, you and I, we may know that, but people who don't know us,
that's right.
We're going to have to either do one of two things. And then I'm speaking specifically to Black people in Nanny. We are going to have to do one of two things. And that is, these people are going to have to be outright denounced, or you're going to have to go over there with them. Because this ability to, kind of ride the fence and kind of take up for this behavior in one sense, but not in that sense. Look, the society is becoming irritated. Yep. Right now they're fatigued, but if they should become irritated, at that point, irritation requires action. That means something is, but you have to stop what's bugging you. Fatigue, no, but irritation does. And the society is becoming irritated because we have a group of miscreants among us who, like Nanny said, for which there rarely are sufficient, even when there are consequences, there are insufficient consequences. Right. Nobody can discuss why they are that way, so we can make no remedy. We can't say, why is 13% of the population committing 50, 60 of the violent crimes? That's way overrepresented. Is that a cultural thing? Well, you could take care of that if that's a culture, but if you can't talk about it, you can't take care of any of it. So we're all supposed to just be subjected and just be victim to these people who, have been given all the great.
I've been stopped by the cops, a few times, and by me complying, I didn't go to jail. No issues, no problems. Yeah, let's comply. You know what I'm saying? They let you off. This happened in the city of Chicago, Oak Park, Forest Park, and also River Forest. I got pulled over a few times, no issues. And we mostly was white. I didn't go to jail. I didn't get roughed up. I didn't get snatched out. None of those things. There was no confrontation. Kept my hands on the wheel, rolled the window down, asked the question that needed to be answered and all that, and I went on my way. But everybody want to be compatible. These Karens, these niggas, want to, you know what I'm saying, want to be compatible. Just, you know what I'm saying, comply. If the officers are wrong, sue them. Sue them for all they worth. And you'll be good to go. But it's just a fight with them, argue with them, tussle, grab their gun, yelling, screaming at them, makes no sense. Now they got their body cam, you know what I'm saying? And then they were made as if the cops out here just beating everybody up. The body cam shows that the people not compliant. So I'm glad the body cams is out here. It's debunked the narrative that the cops is snatching up black people and brown people, just beating them up and arresting them because they can. That's not the narrative. Not like that.
By our overlords, that they are the untouchables. Nobody can say anything to them. Nobody can say anything about them. That is not going to work. We saw what happened yesterday. The Prime Minister of London stepped down. Okay, this is from the will of the people was so strong that he could not maintain his seat. The will of the people in this case, if this stuff continues, people keep seeing you little stuff like riding on their grass, and that grass looked like it had just been cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've got a budget where you pay somebody to cut your grass. For someone to mark it up, that impoverishes you. That means you got to pay somebody to come back and fix it. When you steal somebody's engine, do you know what that does to their insurance? I'm not going to use anybody by example. I'm not saying they look like me or sound like me or are me. But when that person moved from a blue state to a red state where they currently live, the insurance went down by like $7,000. That's what it costs to live in these places, because car thefts and carjackings were so high that to insure your car to sit on the side of the street there costs $7,000 more than to park your car in your driveway somewhere else. That impoverishes people. Do you know what? If a person were able to invest $7,000 a year into their retirement, or maybe into some income generating venture like rental housing, or there are a million things that people can do for themselves if you're not impoverishing them. So between the miscreants in the government, nobody can ever get ahead. And people are getting sick of that, and they're about to become irritated. And I'll just let you all know, family, friends, loved ones, I'm going to miss you when I'm over there. Okay?
I definitely appreciate your sentiment. I think Thursday or Friday, we were talking about the pastors, and there's not enough pastors out here, speaking against this type of behavior. And lo and behold, my prayers
stage twerking and doing flips and doing the splits, they withheld her diploma.
Then to park your car in your driveway somewhere else. That impoverishes people. Do you know what? If a person were able to invest $7,000 a year into their retirement, or maybe into some income generating venture like rental housing, or there are a million things that people can do for themselves if you're not impoverishing them. So between the miscreants in the government, nobody can ever get ahead. And people are getting sick of that. And they're about to become irritated. And I'll just let you all know, family, friends, loved ones, I'm going to miss you when I'm over there. Okay?
I definitely appreciate your sentiment. I think Thursday or Friday, we were talking about the pastors, and there's not enough pastors out here, speaking against this type of behavior. And lo and behold, my prayers were answered, because G. Craig Lewis on Saturday,
I heard
he went off and went in. Finally, you have someone who is willing to say what a lot of these folks are afraid to say. And he did it with love. He didn't do it, with vitriol. He said what needed to be said, but he said it with love.
The first thing I want to say is when I saw that car video, with the engine, I thought it was Baltimore. I'm not gonna lie. I have experienced
That
car
does
parts
happen in
being
Baltimore.
taken
It
in
does
Baltimore.
happen.
You go into the store, you come back, and it's not there. So that's what I thought. But here's the thing. For Father's Day, I posted a picture and told everybody Happy Father's Day. You would think people would just say, "Oh, it's a child and a father." No. The first thing, and probably because I'm conservative, was, "Oh, so you're not all black, so you can't talk about black people." That goes to the point of the mindset of not wanting to be held accountable.
Mhm.
So because I'm whatever racial makeup, I can't speak about what you're doing that affects everyone as a whole in America. And that is the mindset, period. I'm going to find a way for you to make sure that you can't correct me, whether it's via race, whether it's via economic status, whatever it is that I can go and do, that's what they do. And that is why that's one of the reasons why you can't say anything. But the other thing is, when you look at it, it is culture, right? By growing up in the household that I did grow up in, I didn't look at it by things by race. I looked at it by where people were actually from, right? So DC is a melting pot to where you could literally be in $1 million home and you go 2 blocks and boom, there's something else. Okay. So with that being said, our schools were very diverse, people from different, economic backgrounds. So when I would have issues with something, I would look at it from where somebody was from and the mindset there. But a lot of people on both sides are not in diverse areas like that, right? And especially a lot of black people. They're not living amongst white people. So they're being told what white people are, how white people are this, that, and the third. And then you have, of course, classism, right? You have the different classes of people. And to me, that is what is the actual issue here, because with certain economic footing, you have different things that you're going to be involved in. You have, your children are usually, raised a certain way, things like that. I think liberalism wants you to, accept things that would normally come along with people that may not be in the best economic footing. But if you look at even the history of America, people that were poor, yes, had, some of those degenerate things, but a lot of them wanted to be decent people, right? They wanted to get out of where they are. The people today do not want to get out of where they are. The people today do not
They love
care
it.
about whether whether they're seen a certain way. Whether they don't care. It's all respectability politics. You can't tell me not to wear a bonnet. Can't tell me not to go outside my pajamas. Can't tell me not to do. You can't tell me nothing. Okay, you can't tell me to come up out of tent. You can't tell me nothing. And that is hurting everybody, including the people that look like them. So this whole culture of the cars, the lady driving on the lawn, all of that is the same culture. It's the you can't tell me nothing because I said so. And that goes all the way up into politics. What Crystal put up there, that's already here in DC. We have a socialist lady that's getting ready to be, the mayor. You had Mayor Bowser. Women have been running the police department. They're running the police department into the ground. The morale is low. It's all a part of that same culture. You can't tell me anything and I do what I want. And it's affecting everybody, every race. And the only group of people that seem to be okay with it is the group of people that aren't adding anything to society. So if you ask me, separation is going to be by values and of course by actual, class. because there are some people that just don't want to recognize that this actually hurts families. This actually hurts the individuals trying to make a way. So me personally,
Good morning, chat. Good morning, chat. Glad you guys are here with me. Appreciate it. Once again, I'm trying a new format by going live. Usually I use my cell phone to go live, but I'm doing it this way with my laptop. I'm glad you guys are with me. Appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already.
I don't mind separating myself, which is why I say if you're in my neighborhood and you look a certain way, I am going to call the police, because I have a certain class and a certain group of people that I want to protect. The people in my neighborhood are very diverse, different races, all of that. But the thing about it is, we have a certain mindset. We care about each other's lawn. We care about our neighbors. We care about each other's kids. People coming in trying to do stuff, they don't care about that. And that is what I am seeing right now. That is the heart of everything that's going on. These people don't care. And that has nothing to do with race.
Separation is fine for getting away from the crazy, but we have got to, while we're separated, make sure that we're involved with politics and everything we can to destroy their ability to wreck everything. Because when you leave people like that alone, they just expand and they'll look for more territory to conquer. We have to shut these fools down.
I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We will catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength.
When they go more liberal than Dan Goldman, they're really into Never Land.
Does this tell you that the Democratic Party's 2028 nominee will likely be, or could likely be, a Democratic socialist?
Well, it should make it easier for...
Remember, there's people out there in government who are even dumber than the dumbest. Ilhan.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
So my theory is that she's going to be able to go to the judge and say, oh, really, I didn't understand what the numbers meant. I mean, I don't even know the difference between World War II and World War XI, for goodness sakes. You know, I slept through a lot of them. I mean, she might actually have a case. I mean, the president thinks she's really dumb. The low IQ, Ilhan Omar, apparently thought that she and her hubby were worth $30 million. Turns out he only made some $200.
How do you think you worth $30 million? So that means you bought a big flat screen TV on credit, or what's going on? Because I'm pretty sure you bought some expensive stuff thinking that you were a millionaire all that time. And like, it's just overnight or just a month. You knew this for a while.
Last year? Oh, this is getting interesting. All right, we've been through round 1, round 2.
Doris,
now we're on round 3 of the financial disclosures just out this week. She has amended it yet again. So when I say, you know, they're on the take, I mean it. They're on the take. What is this whole liberalism, communism, socialist thing about, other than I'm going to take everything for myself? I want it all. I'm Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, and my hubby's got some VC firm. That's really not a VC firm, let's be honest. I mean, that's why they took down the website and everything, because everybody could see through that thing in 2 seconds. It was a lobbying firm. If you pay him, he's going to get you in good. With Ilhan, who's on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, I mean, they were concerned enough about her that the Treasury Department under Joe Biden had to freeze his accounts, according to his own associate, who said this in legal documents when he was being sued because either his wine or his cannabis or God knows what venture was going south. Yeah.
Crazy.
Not exactly a great guy. So she's in a lot of trouble right now, but I think it's kind of interesting when they say they're all about giving the money back to the people. They're not giving the money back to the people, and they never do. They take it for themselves, okay? Bottom line, feeding our future, $250 million that they all took for themselves. None of that money went to feeding any kids, for goodness sakes. Now we just have to prove out that Ilhan Omar and her hubby were on the take and getting a percentage of this. And that's what Treasury and the IRS is trying to prove out right now. The Leering Center, yeah. Phyllis, I see you. The Leering Center, the Leering Center was not really educating kids, shall we say. Heck, they couldn't even spell leering or learning, right? They couldn't even spell that. So she knows she's in trouble. Why else is she coming out with yet another revision? Does she go to the judge and say, I'm just so dumb, I didn't understand the zeros. I thought it meant $30,000 or $3,000. I didn't understand it meant 30 million. Well, why didn't you fix it right away? Because we were all reporting on it and it took you a year to come out with some kind of new
whole
documentation.
year that she thought she was a multi-millionaire.
And then a few months later, you come out with yet again another documentation. This is bizarre.
Crazy, y'all.
All right. Bizarre stuff. Again, all that money, you know, they had big valuations on this stuff. The winery was worth $5 million, even though it never actually made any wine. And the venture capital firm was supposed to be worth up to 25 mil, even though it had apparently zero income. Oh, but then they changed it. Then they said they had $1 million in income, in dividend income. Well, how the heck do you have dividend income in that venture capital firm? None of this made any sense, but this was on the second round. Okay. On the second round, they said that the venture capital firm wasn't worth anything, but it had this dividend income. Well, if it has dividend income, then it's worth something. None of this adds up. Okay. None of it. And I think that Ilhan Omar is going to find herself in a lot of trouble. She's already in a lot of trouble, and she's already got James Comer chomping at the bit. Here he is this week on Fox saying, yeah, she's in even more trouble. Thank you very much. Round 3 with Ilhan.
I do think Ilhan Omar is in a lot of trouble. She's got that big question mark on how her net worth jumped up to, at least 6 million and then went back down to zero over a 1-year period.
So are you saying that Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Minnesota, that she was getting federal money and feeding it into these corrupt Somali networks, her cronies?
I think one of the projects she requested was proved to be a fraudulent Somali scheme.
Yeah. That's kind of a problem. And she's still requesting projects, by the way. I mean, talking about the gall, right? Talking about this sense that somehow you're owed something. That's part of the problem here. These people think they're owed something. She's not owed anything. No. And she's just taking from us. And ultimately, I suspect, and it would be nice and best if they can get this done sooner rather than later, if they prove out the financial web that I suspect she is embroiled in, she and the husband. Okay. Yep. I mean, I'd get rid of her just based on the fact that she's paying him $3 million. You can't pay your hubby $3 million to run your campaign. Like, that is an inflated number. And it's clear that if you donate to Ilhan Omar's campaign and you pay his salary, you're actually just paying her. I mean, these things should be kind of obvious to everyone. I think they could nail her on that. But anyway, she's getting nailed, okay? I promise you, she's getting nailed. And the U.S. Treasury Secretary is probably going to be the one to finally do it. It's great to have you here, guys. I know we had lots to talk about today. I mean, that was obviously a really, really big earthquake, if you would. Don Baca talking about the earthquake in Venezuela. Gosh, your friend's family just evacuated. Hopefully everything is okay there with them. We will say a prayer. Venezuela is just finally getting back on its feet, which is just terrific to see. They announced today, actually, that the state has a lot more debt than we thought. PDVSA, which is a state-owned oil company there in Venezuela, actually has much, much more debt that they're going to be needing to pay back than anybody thought. A $240 billion debt pile. It's going to be the world's largest restructuring. So my friend Hans, who you guys met the other day, I imagine he's going to be pretty darn busy. But they've got a lot of money they got to pay back. And the hope is that those oil exports will really start to generate the revenue so that they can pay back all of that money. you know, it's gonna be pretty wild to watch. Again, Venezuela with its
Hopefully in
biggest
jail,
debt
yeah.
restructuring ever. That is really pretty significant. $240 billion that's got to come back. But I'll tell you, they got to get the oil pumping. If they can get the oil pumping, then they have a way to actually pay back those debts and sort of reorganize their finances and have a better path forward. And I think they're actually going to be able to do it. Thank you. Great to have you guys all here. Appreciate all you do to make this show a success. I want to just tell you a funny story. I'm visiting up here in New Hampshire, and Chris, if you're out there, I want to say hi because Chris saw me out to dinner with my family last night, and it was very sweet. We had a very, very nice conversation. I really appreciated it, and I think my parents were a little bit surprised. Oh yeah, somebody actually watches your show, Trish. Yeah, you know. They think I'm doing this little thing down in the basement or something, right?
Damn.
Yeah, we got like 1.2 million, actually like nearly 1.3 million, right? That are now watching. And Chris said, not only do I watch, but all my friends watch. So I was like, thank you for that. Thank you. Keep telling your friends. I mean, look, this is an important time. And I realize a lot of folks feel a little deflated right now, right? Because of everything that's happening. You saw what went down in New York, and I get it. And we're still sitting here going, when is Ilhan going to jail? I get it, okay?
Right.
Letitia as well. I'll thank you for the sweet comments, Francisco. I appreciate it. But I get that. And I think more than ever right now, you got to keep eyes on the prize, all right? Eyes on the prize, and it's happening. And maybe it's in dribs and drabs and little bits and pieces. We do have 455 people that just got arrested, the biggest federal arrest ever from the DOJ, Todd Blanche's team. That was massive for, what do you think? Medicaid fraud. $6.5 billion worth of Medicaid fraud. So these things are happening. You had the Supreme Court just yesterday. We talked about that, coming out and saying, yes, if somebody has been suspected of committing a crime, so they've been alleged to have committed a crime, they're from a foreign country, and they leave this country while waiting for trial, yeah, we can say you're not ever coming back in. We can deprive them of their green card status. So that's another big win for this administration. So things are changing. You got a border that's locked down. Finally, right? So things are happening. And I think we got to stay focused. I'm glad that you got Todd Blanche in there now. And I think, more to come. More to the new guy who's coming in to run DNI. Phenomenal. Okay. He's going to be Jay Clayton. He's going to be a big asset, tremendous lawyer, tremendous pedigree. Bill Pulte's going to do the hard work of kind of cleaning things up and firing a few people along the way. But Jay's going to come in, and I think you're going to really start to see some very interesting things transpire. Everything's changing. We're getting rid of USAID, for example. They're flipping out about that. But interesting how the minute you get rid of USAID, what happens? Well, all of a sudden, Latin America swings right. So what was USAID doing to support all these leftist causes? Ask yourself that. There are so many good things to celebrate right now. So stay focused. Make sure you tell your friends, watch the show every day, and I'll see you right back here live, as always, tomorrow.
I want to ask you about the Trump administration seeking almost $700 million for the removal of Iranian nuclear materials for inspections and other verification efforts. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also warned that there will be consequences if Iran does not stick to its end of the deal.
If they don't keep them, the president has multiple options at his disposal. That includes sanctions and includes other things. So I think the president's been cleared. If we're going to get a deal, it has to be a real deal and it has to be a good deal. If Iran wants to make a good and real deal, the United States is open to that. If they're not, then of course the president has options. We want this to work out. We hope it works out. But if it doesn't, the president knows what his options are. And
Army, do we have the Trump administration all on the same page now? Because there's been a lot of talk about a split. You've got Rubio and Hegseth on one side, and you've got J.D. Vance.
Make it easier for Republicans because most Dan Goldman. they're really into Never Never Land.
Does this tell you that the Democratic Party's 2028 nominee will likely be, or could likely be, a Democratic socialist?
Well, it should make it easier for Republicans because most of the nation is composed of sane people. They don't want to, you know, if you look throughout history, go back thousands of years, you've always had socialism and communism by different names. It's never ever worked. It's not going to work this time either. Yeah.
He's right. I mean, it's never worked. Ever, 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 ever. I mean, think about it. The most recent example being Venezuela. What a disaster. They went from the highest per capita income in all of Latin America to the lowest in 20 years' time. It never works, okay? Because, well, you know, heck, think about it. I mean, like, we're human beings, all right? You go to work every day. Why? So you can take care of your family and put food on the table for your family. Are you really going to go to work every day for, you know, the neighbor down the street's family? I mean, no, all right? You're not. And that's why you can't ever get much in the way of productivity out of a system like communism, all right? It's not that hard. But these people, they think they're so smart and they think they can re-engineer human beings. You can't. And not even Sharia law can re-engineer human beings. This DEI, Islamic nonsense, none of that's going to work in your whole re-engineering scheme because you know what? This stuff just doesn't work. You know, there was a comment made on television this morning. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. This is going to require a little bit of technique on my part. Let me see if I can pull up the screen because I want you to see this. My former colleague over at CNBC, I love saying my former colleague. I have so many former colleagues. It's like I've worked everywhere. But Joe Kernan's one of the good ones. He's really a good guy. If you watch early morning television, Squawk Box is this show. And I want to show you, he asked this woman who's a senator if there was any example in the world where communism had actually worked, right? I mean, it's a fair question because here they are. It wasn't even communism. He didn't even go that far. He said, has socialism ever worked, lady? And I want to show you her reaction. This is priceless. Let me see if I can share the screen. Almost there. Let's see. We can put my picture up. Yes. You know what? I'm getting kind of talented at this stuff. What do you know? Technology, baby, technology. Here, we can even turn my shot into a little square. How do you like that? Okay. Now let's see if I can just make her a little bit bigger because this is so good. You want to be able to see it. You really, really want to be able to see it. I just love this. Okay. Here, we almost got it. We almost got it. There we go. Okay. Let's let Joe take it away here. Let's play her. This is him asking a senator, has there ever been an example? Senator Rochester.
Where has socialism ever worked, Senator?
Is that another question or is that for the next interview?
That's definitely for you.
Oh, it's
fish doesn't work everywhere. I just want to know one place where socialism has been beneficial.
Well, when you have me come back on, we can talk about all the races across the country.
Where has socialism ever worked, Senator?
Is that another question or is that for the next interview?
That's definitely for you.
Wow. And she had no answer. She said, I'll do that next time. She had no answer for that. I mean, I'm not saying that these politicians are all that bright. You might actually think that she'd be a little bit more prepared before, you go on and you talk up something like socialism. You might actually want to have some reason for understanding it. Again, all this stuff is merging, okay? Like it's merging in a really scary way. They're using this perception of inequity to try to gin up this support for a communist, because I don't even see it as socialist. I'm with the president on this as a communist takeover of this country. These are communists. Again, he said it so well.
Well, they're going radical left. They're going really, you talk about the Democrat socialists. It's really communist. That's these people. I watched that woman last night. That's not a socialist. I know socialists. That woman is a communist. And what they don't say is that I was 16-0 last night.
You know, there's a point that he's making that's well worth considering as well. The good news is, and I saw one of your comments there, I think it was the last Boy Scout saying there in the live chat, the good news is it was New York City. And last Boy Scout was sort of saying, it's New York City, who cares? You know, like they deserve it, right? They're the idiots that elected this guy. Everybody's going to Miami. I mean, the real estate prices are probably like, whoo, they look like the real estate agents. I saw a meme today. They're like just counting their cash, right? Because they're like, the phones are ringing off the hook. Everybody wants to leave New York City and go to Miami. Just don't make it liberal, okay? Because it's got a good thing going on and they don't need you guys messing it up. But I'm just going to say, yeah, New York City voted for this. And when I see what's going on with these people winning, yeah, New York City voted for this, so they deserve this. But look at the nice people out in Minnesota. Did they vote for this too? They voted for bringing in all those migrants from Somalia. Migrants that don't see eye to eye. Migrants like...
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
So I think the people of Minnesota are pretty smart. I actually have a lot of respect and admiration for them. So I look at the mistakes they've made and I see how quickly this can happen. I think the people of the UK are not dumb. I mean, maybe they've had various points in their trajectory where they've been rather naive, but they've allowed a situation to get so out of hand where they now have all this extremism taking over. The people of Sweden, same mistake there. So Europe has confronted this head on. The state of Minnesota has confronted this head on. And I now think that New York City is confronting this head on. And I think that some of us need to be a little bit smarter about where this is all heading. Listen to Brendan Gill. This is the representative from Texas. He's actually the son-in-law of my friend Dinesh D'Souza. Brilliant guy, brilliant. And his daughter is quite brilliant, and she married a good one here. Let's listen to Brendan.
If you point out what's happening here, if you're truthful about what mass Islamic immigration has done to Great Britain, you're an Islamophobe, you're a racist, you're uncouth or unfit for dignified, civilized society, when the impact of that type of suppression of speech means that working class people have been brutally raped and tortured. And that's something that we deal with in the United States on a smaller level, but something we deal with now. If you speak out against mass Islamic immigration, you are denigrated and labeled a racist. And we have to be able to be truthful about these issues and straightforward that whenever you bring in large numbers of people from cultures that hold values that are entirely incompatible with our own, in this case, the belief that Muslims have more dignity and are superior to non-Muslims, that child marriages are okay, that Muslims can essentially subjugate other people, including young children, sexually. If you speak out against that, you're Islamophobic. We have got to get over that because you can see what the price is. And those working class girls are the ones who paid the price here.
He's referring, of course, to those horrific revelations that 250,000 young British girls, working class British girls, were trafficked, taken advantage of by Pakistani Muslim gangs there over the last several decades in the UK. And the system of elites that could have exposed this, that were repeatedly warned by parents, by health professionals, by educators, they made this go away. They buried it because they did not want to be perceived as racist. So you can't say the emperor has no clothes because, gosh, you might be perceived as something you don't want to be perceived as. And I've said this all along. For some reason, the left always goes there. They always go there. They're always, oh, well, you're racist, you're anti-Semitic, and you're racist. So I'm like, hello, who do you think is anti-Semitic right now? Who do you think is racist right now? It's not Donald Trump. It's not conservatives. It is this extreme part of the leftist liberal ideology that, by the way, has come full center right around to meeting up with Tucker and his friends, okay? Like, that's how crazy the world has gotten. And I'm just the realist here in the middle saying, okay, let's have some common sense, people. Low taxes, less regulation, more power to the people. Borders. I mean, this is normal stuff, but you know what the left wants? They want no borders because they want everybody to come in and take over the government. That's what's happened. In Europe, who do you think they're bringing in? They're not the Catholics. They're not the Protestants. They're not the atheists even. They're the Muslims that are coming in. And I'm sorry, like, again, you can say, I mean, it's such a terrible thing to say about someone. And so Brandon Gill is really going out there when he says what he's saying. And he's like, look, nobody's willing to admit any of this for fear of being called something, because it's the worst thing anybody can say. And then what do you say? Like, what's your comeback? They come at you and oh, you're a racist. Like, where do you go from there? Donald Trump can say, well, I'm not. And the more he says I'm not, the more it perpetuates this viewpoint. Well, he must be. And somehow the left never gets tagged with any of this. I mean, frankly, I think it's kind of racist when you assume that somebody needs this leg up, that they're just not smart enough to get into a school on their own. They're not smart enough to get a job all on their own. They need DEI working in their corner in order to get those gigs. That's kind of a racist assumption in and of itself. I mean, if you really believe in a meritocracy, which is what I so fundamentally, fully, wholeheartedly believe in, and this is part of the greatness of America. This is the greatness of capitalism. If you believe in that, then you believe everybody gets a fair shot. I mean, the outcome's going to be different, right? Because some people are really talented. Some people are really hardworking. Some people are really gifted. And some people are just lucky. But you want a system that allows for all of this opportunity. The left wants some other kind of system. And I'm not even sure that they want it. I think that they're on the take. And how do I know they're on the take? Oh, yeah, I got one stupid woman who's clearly on the take. And anytime you ever think that, somebody is not so swift, remember there's people out there in government who are even dumber than the dumbest. Ilhan.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Wow.
So my theory is that she's going to be able to go to the judge and say, oh, really, I didn't understand what the numbers meant. I mean, I don't even know the difference between World War II and World War XI, for goodness sakes, I slept through a lot of them. I mean...
Celebrated Father's Day weekend, dozens were shot in the city and 41 shootings have been reported in the past week alone. So far in Chicago this year, there have been 198 murders. That is up 9% from a year ago, and 647.
You can't blame Trump for this. This is Chicago, blue city, blue state. Look at this, man. Every weekend, double digits, death and murder. Double digits.
Shootings, which is up 5%. Yet Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson continue to push back against the president's offer to help.
This is the same president that did not know that the Strait of Hormuz could be closed, shuttered essentially by Iran if he went to war with Iran. I don't think that we should be listening to this president about promises that he makes or that he has any idea how to protect us in the state of Illinois.
The president of the United States of America has done nothing to help secure safe communities across this country. He's done nothing to do that.
Yeah, keep it safe.
Juneteenth weekend in Chicago. 40 people were shot, 8 people were unalived. Everyone involved was Black. No police officers were involved. No Black Lives Matter protests. No outrage from Democrat politicians. And no wall-to-wall media coverage. Total silence.
It's like a breathe.
Y'all have a blessed night.
All right, guys. So one of the most violent holiday weekends in America is finally past us.
That's crazy. You got Juneteenth and Father's Day. Unity right there. Instead of bringing unity, it caused chaos, feelings. People in their feelings. That's the problem, man. Grown men these days are out in their feelings. So they're thinking logically. Now they just in their feelings. in dresses and everything, dancing and twerking. We guys are men. We are men. No man should be twerking, doing splits, anything weird like that. We are protectors, hunters, leaders. Man.
That's right. We finally don't have to deal with Juneteenth anymore. Okay. And then we got to talk about the aftermath of Juneteenth that the pro-blackity blacks, the so-called Carmelo Anthony supporters, don't want to talk about, right? They don't want to talk about the fact that black people kill each other on Juneteenth or Father's Day. We can't even take a weekend off from the violence.
Right. It's been a weekend off with no killing. Period. Couldn't happen, huh? Insane.
Violence and the chaos, okay? And you have people who are actually noticing this, right? You have black people who are picking up on this pattern of the so-called pro-blackity blacks who claim to love black people, except when black people are killing each other.
You know what's so funny?
Right,
maybe people been distracted with the Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf situation. You know, stuff happens. But, you know, over this Juneteenth weekend where we commemorate the release of the final enslaved people out of Galveston, Texas, something happened in Chicago on the South Side that nobody seems to be talking about for whatever reason. Oh, yeah, that's right. A mass shooting took place over Juneteenth weekend. But I guess everybody been too caught up talking about this Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf situation, a situation between two teenage boys, and that y'all to put the race narrative on. Y'all to straight up ignore the fact that some in the hood in the South Side of Chicago pulled up, did a drive-by with them switches, let that thing ring, let the whole clip loose, 100 cases on the ground. They found 100 rounds on the ground after 12 people got hit. In the hood, in a black neighborhood in Chicago, a liberal city with that black mayor, and I don't hear no fuss about it. I don't see nobody on TikTok making.
Right, tomorrow crime is down. The report of crime is down. Crime is still running rapid in Chicago and these blue cities and states, period. They keep voting for the same BS and expect different results. You can't keep on saying defund the police and you want crime to stop. It's not going to work. You need police to be present. And so you defund them, they're not going to be present. There will be other places. Occupy, you know what I'm saying, places they shouldn't be at, where they can be right in the hood, keeping it safe. But they wouldn't defund them. That's crazy. And when he got Mayor Johnson got 150 police people protection for him and his family, 150 people, if not more. But he wanted to defund the police and abolish ICE. For him and his family protected. Amazing.
Dissertations, of course, everybody talking about the Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf situation because it's gonna make you some money on TikTok, real talk. But it's like if a white person do something to a black person, or even if it just got anything to do with white and black, y'all get out here and just make think piece after think piece after think piece. But when them little walking around with them guns and they pull up in the black neighborhood and let them things loose, shh, it's quiet. You can't hear nothing. We always talk about holding folks accountable, but for whatever reason, black folks refuse to talk about that. We'll talk all day about some hypothetical between a black and a white person, but when he's not here killing folks, because they doing it every.
He's preaching, y'all. He's preaching, Chad. He ain't lying. I'm from the west side of Chicago. Everything he's saying is the truth. Quiet. Somebody dying right in front of you. Get shot right in front of you. Nobody don't say nothing. Just getting ready for the funeral and a T-shirt to be made and release balloons. That's it. That's sad, man. Anyway, how over the weekend he said ladies and kids be in their cars and they get shot up over because they said on social media or something they said publicly and they just get shot up. Nobody ain't saying nothing. Countless videos on TikTok, social media like Facebook, TikTok, even Instagram, they showing people getting shot up or people fighting on the train or getting stabbed on the train. You don't hear nothing about it. But you see it on people's cell phones and it's on TikTok and like I say, social media, period. You'll see it, but the news ain't gonna report it. But keep telling us crime is down. It's not, man. These people are here sick. And you gotta blame these judges too for letting them out. Oh, he's black, he's oppressed. This man that robbed 5 liquor stores, shot somebody, high as hell on drugs, but yet he wanted this man back out into society. When he was in society, he's not trying to do better. All he knows is corruption, but you want to let him right back out. and now somebody ended up dying, hurt. This is sad, man. We need to get back to having real people, not these activists. That's the problem. These people are activists and actors. We gotta do better, man. You got Willie D out here still pushing the BS narrative about Carmelo Anthony saying the video is a lie. It's another video out there that shows more. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? 20 people said the same thing. Stop trying to push this BS. But he want to keep pushing it because he know he got caught in a lie. And he want to keep pushing it. And his audience keep falling for it. So we as people got to do better with our minds, man. Because somebody got 1 million followers or 1 billion followers doesn't mean they right or they intelligent. No. It's crazy.
Today, I'm in Atlanta, dying out here at the hands of others, not by white people.
Oh,
I'm sorry
Atlanta.
to tell
Okay.
you that. A white person not walking around their bed killing this. It's only the only black young men doing this. Don't nobody want to talk about it.
Right.
Somebody help me figure that out.
Right. Same thing in Chicago. Only people is killing each other in Chicago. There's no cops pulling a black person over and snatching them up and shooting them. Or they end up in a boondock somewhere. There's none of that happening like that. It's only a black and black crime, period. Again, I've been pulled up by many white officers. I didn't go to jail. All I did is comply. Gave them what they need. I went home. No complaints. But these guys want to argue with the cops and fight with them, spit on them for clout. No. And then it's black people, they think getting loud is getting a point across. Being loud is not getting your point across. It make you look stupid.
Every time we turn around, there's something going on in Chicago. Every time. And the vast majority of victims happen to be black. When we going to speak about that? Same energy, y'all. Don't lose the intensity. Keep the same intensity. We going to fight and fight and fight over a young kid that admitted he killed somebody?
He said it. He said, not allegedly, I did it. That right there eliminates everything. He took the word allegedly. We could have used allegedly I did it. But no, he said, no, I did it. So how y'all have an appeal? Why he didn't get judged by his peers because they not nobody black. The black people was there. They said they couldn't do it because they black. And he's black. So that's what happened.
And we hear crickets when 39 people get shot and 6 get killed in Chicago on Juneteenth. Have you read some of this stuff? Juneteenth holiday came to a violent end on the South Side with more than 100 shell casings near 95th and Wentworth, where a drive-by shooting left 14 people injured just after 11 p.m. on Friday. The victims were between 17 and 47 years of age, and that was just one location. You ain't got nothing to say about that? Nothing to say about that at all.
It doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, of course they don't have anything to say about it because there's no money to be made off of that, right? There's no money to be made off of black people killing other black people, right? The race hustlers, the so-called pro-blacks, they can't make money off of that. So no, you're not going to see think pieces about what's going on in Chicago. They're going to ignore it, right? They're going to ignore the real issues in the black community, which is black people continuously committing acts of violence against each other, right? And again, this is not about the white man, right? This is about black people and our own behavior, which is something that these individuals just desperately do not want to talk about, right? And that brings me to Woke Bear, Brandon Johnson, who's going to get confronted on what happened in Chicago on Juneteenth, on Father's Day. And of course, he's going to blame the white man, right? He's going to blame President Trump. Right?
Oh, wow. Trump
because,
is in D.C.,
you know,
man.
apparently it's Trump's fault that the government doesn't want to...
Trump asked to bring ICE out there, National Guard, and they both turned it down. So now it's Trump's fault when Trump was offering to give you guys double protection to clean the streets up. Now it's Trump's fault. Trump is in D.C.
Give out handouts for Brandon Johnson and his cronies to waste, right? Claiming that they're fighting gun violence by giving teenagers jobs, right? By giving them midnight basketball in Monopoly. Yeah, that's how Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, like that's going to work. And that's crazy. What happened to job court? You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, if you couldn't get a job after high school, whatever, you go to job court and they get you together, housing and all that with other group of men and women. What happened to that? Does job court still exist? Let me Google that.
Johnson believes that taxpayer dollars should be spent fighting crime instead of locking people up, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and react to Brandon Johnson, the woke mayor, being confronted about the Juneteenth violence in his city.
Mayor Johnson, last week I sat in this very seat and I warned you that Juneteenth is historically one of the most violent days for whatever reason in the city of Chicago.
Well, we know why it's violent. It's violent because when Black people get together and celebrate, we can't celebrate without killing each other, right? That's how Black people celebrate, okay? So we know why it's violent. It's because it's a holiday being celebrated by Black folks.
Okay, job court does still exist. Okay, they don't push it like they used to. That's crazy. They're not pushing like they used to back in the day when it comes to job court.
And that's why when Joy Reid was like, oh, most Black people are not excited about July 4th, right? I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't think that Joy Reid is in any position to speak for Black Americans because she's not really a Black American, right?
No,
her parents are immigrants,
right?
Her folks are in Africa. But I thought about it. I was like, well, hey, if Black people choose not to celebrate July 4th, is it really all that bad, right? If they decide to sit it out, because there will be less violence. So, hey, it is what it is.
Missed that. I asked you if Donald Trump, the president of the United States, if you would reach out to him for some kind of help or assistance. Again, you dismissed that. You said that you're the mayor, right? You said that Donald Trump was a massive failure or something to that effect. And now we have seen the results. 40 plus people shot, a dozen plus people murdered. Perhaps you're the massive failure in this equation and not the president, who, by the way,
Thank you for your
the president of the United States has reached out again.
Well, thank you for your question.
Donald Trump has said he's willing to help. Will you at long last accept his support?
I appreciate you
well,
taking
if you could
some
let me
time.
ask the question,
You said that real people.
Will you
in
accept his
Chicago-
help now?
Well, you asked two questions.
No.
And it's a very lousy attempt of what you're trying to conflate. But your first question was essentially around who takes responsibility. The president of the United States of America has done nothing to help secure safe communities across this country. In fact, if you look
this man brought ICE, the National Guards, people in DC happy, people in Memphis happy. What is Brandon Johnson talking about? When Trump sent in the National Guard, ICE, people was happy. Other results of that happening. You guys rejected it. You don't blame Trump. That's crazy. I'm glad we got the cameras to run back and them saying they don't want Trump's help. Call him a Nazi, fascist, Gestapo. Now he's saying Trump failed. He didn't help out. People are happy that Trump came in and he did what he did for those cities and those states.
Specifically at his so-called Black agenda, he has not delivered on one promise. It's not just he's just a failure. He's a doty individual. Right?
Damn.
Here's a responsibility that I continue to take. Driving a community safety plan that removes guns from the streets of Chicago. Driving a community safety plan that actually invests in the communities that this president refuses to invest in. He is more interested in tweeting or posting evil and inhumane.
What the hell is a community investment plan, right? What does this dude say? Let's be real. This is what I'm talking. This is what I've been talking about over the last few days, right? This is why Democrats are so ass backwards. They don't acknowledge reality for what it is. You're never going to stop crime by throwing money at low IQ people, right? You're just not going to do it. These people really believe if you give these people millions and billions of our tax dollars, that is going to solve. It's not going to happen. You have to lock them up. That's it, right? How do you weed out the low IQs? By locking them up. I know, radical idea, right? I know.
Too radical, bro.
Very controversial. Some people might even say racist. Right? But it's not. It's common sense. Racist. Okay? Because a lot of these people are committing crimes, right? They're agents of chaos because they're not very smart. right? So I'm just saying that this idea that you have to throw money at people who, again, are not very smart, it's just not good. Like, we've done this time and time and time again. It's time to acknowledge that, hey, you cannot throw money at people who are not very intelligent and think that you're gonna get some, a different outcome, right? It's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna get a positive outcome. We've never gotten a positive outcome. You know the positive outcome that we got from, quote unquote, investing in the Black community? The crime bill, right? Which I know a lot of pro-blacks don't like. A lot of Black conservatives don't even like the crime bill, but I'm like, I think the crime bill was actually a good thing, because at the time the Black community was asking for it, right? That's what people forget. At the time, the Black community was asking for it, right? They're like, we need this. Crime is out of control, and it worked. It worked. Okay, it's time for more of that. It's time to get tougher on crime. Lock up the criminals. Get them out, right? Get them out of the communities, and allow the people who are not agents of chaos, who are not committing crimes, who are not murdering people, allow them to live peacefully, right? And then hopefully, okay, we start producing more individuals who are smarter, right? Who are not going to commit crimes, right? Who are not going to be agents of chaos, because we locked up all the individuals that, are problems, right? So I'm just saying, I think that's the real solution here. But again, nobody wants to do that. That's racist, according to individuals like Brandon Johnson.
Projections of people in our humanity than he is actually willing to put money into the very communities that he ostensibly offers some degree of care for. This is an individual that is more interested in removing voting rights protections. It's about his overwhelming interest in coordinating the upward transfer of wealth into the hands of the ultra rich at the expense of everyday people.
My follow-up question, my second question is simply this.
You've already
you
asked
campaigned
two
on defunding. My second question is, you campaigned on defunding the police. You've called the police a sickness. You say that incarcerating violent repeat offenders is some kind of racism.
You can talk as long as you want. You've asked your two questions
I
already.
asked one question that you interrupted.
No, you've asked two questions.
I also have civil rights. I have freedom of speech. I have freedom of the press.
Well, you can just free yourself on out of here, because I'm not answering anything else.
Well, the second question is simply this.
Two questions.
You have a
and your time
security
is done.
detail of
so go
150.
ahead. Finish.
The United States, the city of Chicago is down 2,000 police officers under your administration, and yet you have 150 some police officers on your security detail. If Chicago's so safe, why not release some of those police officers back onto the streets where they can help real Chicagoans?
You're done. Thank you. Jake.
Wow. There we have it, folks. There we have it. Clearly, this triggers the woke mayor because, again, it's a problem that has not been solved. It's the same thing that happened time and time again. Okay, on Juneteenth, on these holidays in Chicago, you see the violence, and these pro-blackity blacks have nothing to say about it. They got nothing to say about it. But again, they want to obsess over what's going on with Carmelo Anthony, right? Who murdered somebody, right? murder a white teenager. They're obsessed with getting him out of jail, but they ain't got nothing to say about black people who are losing their lives at the hands of other black folks, right? But these same people turn around, oh, we love black people so much. We for the black community. We for the community. It's like, no, you people are literally just about hating whites and money. That's it. They don't care about anything outside of hating whites and money. And the hating whites really just equals money for them, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. So again, this is shameful from the Chicago mayor. But again, people are noticing. People are starting to notice a pattern. They're like, hey, it seems like black people, our priorities are out of line. We're concerned about stuff that we should not be concerned about. And the things that we should be concerned about, we're not concerned about. And again, this is why we look so silly to everybody else in this country. And I think the lack of attention to what has happened on Juneteenth, once again, because it happens every Juneteenth, really highlights, again, the fact that our priorities are out of line. And as long as we continue to do this, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
What's up, you guys? Babylon B coming with it again, man, with some bangers, some Play 2 videos. Hope you guys like it. Share and subscribe it. Name is Deontay. Thanks for stopping by. Let's get it.
It was late 2026, and political conflict was coming to a head. The right was not giving any ground, and the left decided it was time to take action.
We had to do something. The Republicans were using every trick in the book, mainly voting to take over our country. It was finally time for war.
The left began to quickly make preparations to take the country by force.
It's not easy to start a war. It involves a lot of talking on the phone, which gives many of us anxiety.
An initial target was settled on, a lazy suburb that served as a symbol of the bourgeoisie and capitalism. But this small neighborhood was not caught by surprise.
Doreen's son goes to one of those fruity colleges on the West Coast.
Damn.
We got word from him war was coming.
The invading army descended on the small neighborhood, but the attack did not go as planned.
In the city, we're used to being able to burn down a target and no one does anything.
I guess it's different in the suburbs, though.
The suburbanites had an ace up their sleeves: firearms.
One of the big issues is how we hate guns, but the right loves them. I guess none of us considered how big a disadvantage that would put us in a civil war.
A single warning shot was fired, causing half the invading force to have a panic attack.
Amazing.
The rest fled for their lives. The Second American Civil War was over.
Everyone said I was crazy owning 6 AR-15s. And I guess they had a point, since we had a full civil war and I barely needed the one.
The left signed a statement of unconditional surrender. The right was now fully in control of the country.
As part of the surrender, we technically own California. We're seeing if it's possible to just push it off into the sea.
Many of the losing combatants fled to the far north. Starvation was rampant among them from lack of access to DoorDash. Still, not everyone saw what happened as a total loss for the left.
I think we won by showing we will stand up to Republicans.
Gabby Newscom.
But haven't you been exiled to Canada? It's great. I love it here.
Soon as Imba moves down. Hold on, I got another one for you guys. They silly. This one go with Elon Musk.
SpaceX has made me a trillionaire. Isn't that neat, Mr. Sprinkles? You can say that again. Do you need?
That's amazing that Elon Musk is from South Africa. Now he lives in America and man's a trillionaire now. And, you know, there's a lot of people from other foreign countries come to America the right way and become successful. And nothing wrong with that. Come here the right way, become successful, thumbs up. Well, you get people come here, become successful, but never assimilate, as far as learning the Constitution, getting their papers right, or renewing their visa type stuff. And they want to blame Trump or us MAGAs for understanding that, hey, y'all respect the border. Assimilate, come here. Stop pressing one for English all the time. You know?
Something. I hear you have $1 trillion.
Yes, I am a trillionaire, but I don't actually have $1 trillion.
I want it!
There's no money.
Give it to me!
Hand over the trillion.
Uh-oh, Pocahontas.
Come back with my money.
Where are you going with our $1 trillion, comrade?
I keep telling you, there is no money. He's hiding it.
I bet he swallowed it. Let's cut him open and take it.
I don't have $1 trillion. All that wealth is in my rocket company. He said the $1 trillion is in his rocket.
Let's go get it.
Insane.
Let's start smashing stuff until we find the trillion.
That's how the leftists is. The Democrats are. I want to destroy something. That's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? This is how it is in real life right now. They thinking tax the billionaires is going to help everything out. You can't keep on taxing these people. They're going to go somewhere else where they can get taxed less. Period.
Good thinking
Damn.
there, Mr. Sprinkles.
Mr.
Those people were
Sprinkles.
scary, but luckily they were extremely stupid. Now let's go swim in the money vault. The $1 trillion is all mine.
You left your name on my phone.
Just want to share with you guys. Babylon B become some good skits, man, with this AI thing, man, on the real. And they be accurate with it. And it's sad. So other than that, just pray for unity. Love all. Thanks for stopping by. What's up, chat? What's up, everybody? It's been 2 hours and 17 minutes since I've been streaming. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate it.
Some public figures reach a point where they're no longer arguing with their opponents. They're arguing with old footage of themselves. Because that's the problem with being around for 20 plus years. Eventually, your biggest rival isn't the other party. It's literally your archive. And this week, Barack Obama stepped back into the spotlight trying to deliver one of those, hopeful, unifying messages he's known for. But while he was talking about where America...
Why don't the Obamas go sit down somewhere? You don't see other presidents campaigning like Obama has done these last few years. Like, you want to secure your legacy and all, but he's doing it all the wrong way. You got a bogus candidate, you know what I'm saying? Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, weekend at Barney's. The man wasn't even here. He was always in his basement. I think they built a fake White House stage for him to talk to, press conference stage, something like that was fake. Had to build it for him. The man's barely at the White House. He was always in Delaware on vacation. You barely even seen the man. Well, other than that, yeah, Obama, he picked the bogus candidate. Then they can pick Kamala Harris, and she called the man racist. Called Obama, not Obama. She called Joe Biden racist. They ended up picking her because she's supposed to be black. No, she's Indian. She's not black.
should go next, the internet started asking where some of the old conversations went. Let's get into it.
So what would your message be to people listening that feel we can't overcome this current divide we have?
I talk about this a lot. This is the value of history. I know people feel discouraged right now. Seems like everybody's angry, and the atmosphere is kind of mean, and we're more isolated.
Why y'all asking about reparations? The man was in the office for 2 years, 2 terms. He's in office for 2 terms. Nobody asked about reparations. Amazing.
It's socially, and politics just seems.
Even though we had reparation when Lincoln was president, but he got assassinated, and the Democrat Andrew Johnson turned it down. Crazy.
Terrible. But then I got to remind people, all right, we've gone through slavery, and Jim Crow, and, look, I was talking about Michelle's mom, who grew up in Englewood over here. Yeah, she just passed, a year and a half ago. She basically went to a segregated school. If you lived on the south side of Chicago, you going to downtown to go to Marshall Fields or Macy's, go to a shop was, not something that was necessarily encouraged when she was coming up. You go into certain neighborhoods, you get beat up bad. So, even the 60s, I'm older than you guys, but I mean, we've gone through assassinations and riots and, Rodney King. And we always, I think, have a tendency, partly because the news projects it, right, to think that our time is uniquely discouraging or tough. And if you study a little bit of history, I do think it gives you that perspective of things go up and down. History doesn't move in a straight line. And the thing you control is how you react to it, the values you've got. And there are always good people out there. Mm-hmm. There is always common ground to be found. It's and it's up to you. How much responsibility do you have to bring that to the table? How do you show up? If you show up being helpful and setting a good example and lifting folks up, whatever your circle of influence is, right? If you're coaching and helping out in the community, even though they're not your kids, if you see it as somebody moves across the street who is an immigrant, the way folks in Minneapolis did, and said, you know what? I may not have looked at their papers, but they're my neighbor, and I see how they treat their kids, and that reminds me of, my family, and so I'm going to look out for them.
Do your part.
If you're doing that, if enough of us do that, then we'll get through this, just like we usually have.
And history helps. If you know history and you know how far we come,
correct.
It's what we need to be is easy to see now.
You can see it
so far already.
You can see it.
Oh, wow. That was very powerful, given the victim complex everybody usually carries. This is the Obama most people remember. Calm, measured, hopeful, not yelling, no panic, no end of the world language, just perspective. And honestly, whether you agree with him or not, that's part of why he's become so politically effective in the first place. He can make a speech sound less like a speech and more like a conversation. But here's where things get interesting, because while he's telling people not to lose faith, a lot of people aren't focused on his words. They're focused on his record. And let's just say that's where things start to get complicated.
Here is Obama running against Hillary in a debate, talking about how George W. Bush was basically not hard enough on immigration. This is Obama saying this.
The Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position
slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. As president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. They have to be held accountable. Start shedding some light on the problem, and we can once again be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. That's what I intend to do as president of the United States.
What the hell is that? He sounds like Trump, because you just said you like border security. Donald Trump has secured the border for the first time in decades, where there's zero illegal migrants admitted into the country. You should be celebrating his success.
Yeah. See, this is why old clips are very dangerous. Not because they're old, because they don't know what year it is. That clip, that Obama clip, doesn't sound like 2008 to me. It sounds like something people are arguing about right now. And the reaction isn't really about immigration. It's about consistency. Because voters can forgive disagreement. What they struggle to forgive is feeling like every issue comes with a software update every 4 years. 1 minute a position is common sense. The next minute, the same position is controversial. Then somehow, everybody acts like they don't remember the first version. Internet remembers. Always. But immigration isn't the only place where old and new conversations keep crashing into each other. Watch this.
But he just loves the founders. He just loves them. He is so passive aggressive. Listen to what he said about the founders.
In forming our union, the founders fell terribly short of the Declaration's promise, leaving slavery intact, allowing states to restrict the franchise to white men who own property. But in drafting a constitution and a Bill of Rights, they did have the foresight, the genius, to provide us with a framework that allows each generation to make our union more perfect.
Okay, stop. Boy, this guy is amazing. How passive aggressive is that? So he's half right. You know, especially I love the fact that he brought up that white men with property. No. But I'm glad you brought this up because I'm so sick and tired of hearing that the founders, didn't let women vote. No, you could vote as a woman. Did you know that? You could vote in America as a woman. If your husband said, you go vote, or if your husband died, or you said, hey, sit down, fat ass, I'm going to vote this time. The deal was when we founded this country, you could only vote if you had a stake in the game. If you owned property, you then had a stake in this, and so then you could vote. And if your husband died, you voted. Nobody said, wait a minute, you're a chick. No, really, I'm Frederick. No, they didn't care. You own property? Great, go ahead and vote. And quite honestly, I think we should do that again. And not necessarily ownership of property. I think it should be, do you pay taxes?
Well, there goes the EBT community. If that happens, you got the EBT community. You got the Section 8 community. They be pissed off. Well, they probably don't vote anyway. Ain't no telling. But yeah, they be pissed off. They show they can.
Do you pay taxes? If you're getting money back from somebody else, I don't think you should have a right to vote, because why would you vote anything other?
Right, because you're gonna keep voting for the same thing, which is staying poor and more government. And we don't want that. We want less government. I earn my money when I keep my money. If I want to give it to you, I give it to you. I'm gonna be forced to give it to you because you're not working. That's stupid as hell. Get your ass up and go work.
Other than, take more from them and give it to me. You have to have a stake in the game.
One thing I've noticed about American politics, people rarely argue about history. People argue about ownership of history. Everybody wants the founders. Everybody wants the Constitution. Everybody wants to be standing next to history when the camera turns on, because history isn't just about the past. It's political real estate. And whenever somebody talks about what America was, someone else immediately starts arguing about what America meant. That's why these debates never die. They're not really history debates. They're identity debates. Now, let's raise the temperature a little bit, because history arguments are one thing. Health is different. Health gets personal fast.
So we had the spectacle of my successor in the Oval Office making broad claims around certain drugs and autism that have been continuously disproved. And
here they go clapping.
The degree to which that undermines public health, the degree to which that can do harm to women who are pregnant, the degree to which that creates anxiety for parents who do have children who are autistic, which, by the way, itself is subject to a spectrum, and a lot of what is being trumpeted as these massive increases actually have to do with a broadening of the criteria across that spectrum so that people can actually get services and help, not to, it's all of that is violence against the truth.
What? Okay, so what's fascinating here isn't even an autism debate itself. It's the phrase Obama used. Violence against the truth. Think about that. Really think about that, because everybody in modern politics claims ownership of the truth. Everybody. The media, politicians, experts, influencers, activists. Every group says they're protecting the truth from somebody else. And maybe that's why trust is so low right now. Not because people stop caring about truth, because everybody keeps showing up claiming, exclusive distribution rights of it.
Mm-hmm.
The average person is sitting there wondering who they're supposed to believe. And then we leave the speeches, we leave the experts, we leave Washington, and we got something far more powerful. People talking about where they actually live.
Obama, we're calling on you and Michelle. You and Michelle, come and apologize to Chicago for doing this. You come and apologize to South Shore for moving all these people out.
Crazy.
This is a follow-up video from the first one that I did. And you may be wondering why this lady is so angry. Well, first of all, being from Chicago originally, I'm very familiar with South Shore. And I'm going to show you right now why she's so angry and everybody else in the neighborhood is so angry. Watch. See, in order to build that presidential library, the Obama Foundation, first of all, did some shady shit to get the property. But the most important thing, the reason that lady's angry and the reason every resident of South Shore over there is angry, and she has a damn right to be angry about it, because they were forced out. Because when they built that library, all the property taxes went up, which means all the landlords had to raise their rent to pay for the property taxes going up. And people over there that lived on the South Shore got pushed out. This is what the foundation's about. This is sickening. If you like my content, like, share, follow for more.
Now, this clip hits differently because this isn't somebody debating policy on television. This is somebody talking about their neighborhood. And whether you agree with her conclusion or not, by the way, that's a clip, the very first clip that he showed is a clip that we've seen a few different times. Whether you agree with the conclusions or not, the emotion is real. One of the strangest things in politics is that success can create complaints. A new development, gets built. Property values go up, investments arrive, new businesses arrive, and then suddenly the people who were there first start asking, okay, where exactly do we fit into this vision?
Right.
That's not a Democrat or Republican question. That's a human question. And when people feel ignored by the people they once supported, they usually don't stay quiet about it. Which brings us to the clip that gets the most headlines, probably, right? But I actually think it's more interesting after everything we just watched.
Millions of people lost their lives. Let's go back to Obama. The thing that Tulsi Gabbard said about Obama after he started his reign and going into all the things that he did with illegal migration, things that went on in Iran, and then if you turn around what he did in the Russia collusion, there are so many people that have broken the law. You know, we've got people in prison that did 10 to 20% of what these people have done to our country. They broke the law. They thought they're above the law, but they're not. And you said, Anthony Fauci, I'm on the HELP committee here in the Senate. I went through every one of those hearings and listened to Anthony Fauci lie to the American people for basically a year and a half, 2 years. And he should be in prison. Don't give me this nonsense about being able to, be given a pardon. You can probably pardon somebody for a federal crime, but look at the thousands of people that he actually let die because of his lies on a state level. So let's go after him on the state level. You can't get a pardon for that. He's a crook. Obama's a crook. All these people broke the law. Let's put them in jail.
Now, here's what stands out, right? The prison comment is going to get all the attention. We know that. Everybody's going to argue about that. But the bigger story is something else. Notice how many completely different conversations led to this moment. Immigration, history, public health, Chicago, legacy, trust. They're all colliding around the same person. And that's what happens when you've been a central figure in American life for nearly 2 decades. People stop debating one decision. They start evaluating the entire body of work. And that's what this week is feeling like. Not a debate over one speech, over one policy, a debate over legacy. At the end of the day, Barack Obama, he wanted to talk about hope, but hope has an interesting opponent. It's this thing called memory, because every public figure eventually discovers the same thing. You don't just inherit accomplishments. You inherit every question that never fully went away. And that's why this conversation isn't ending anytime soon. So we're going to use the word that we used prior discussing Obama, if you made it to the end of this video. And that word is archive. Y'all be safe. Go check with somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com. Well, it's been a little quiet, and you know what that means. The Democrat Party's falling in the polls, and the news cycle is quiet. If they're losing control of the narrative, you know exactly what they're doing. They're cooking the next scandal, the next hoax, the next smear campaign behind the scenes. And well, after a couple of weeks of silence, here we go again. The left is running another pathetic smear campaign. This time going after Elon Musk in a desperate attempt to try to manufacture some sort of scandal over U.S. aid cuts. By the way, talk about beating a dead horse. Really, Doge? Bringing back these pathetic 2025 hoaxes? We're headed towards the midterms, and the Democrats' big play is Elon Musk is killing millions of children in Africa. Holy frickin' moly. It's just so pathetic and obviously so disgusting, the same kind of disgusting emotional blackmail that they always reach for when they're losing, attempting to twist any policy change or disagreement into some fake humanitarian crisis. Here we go again. We're losing grip in the polls. Let's paint our political opponents as mass murderers. Absolutely freaking pathetic and obviously getting old, but not just getting old, just not convincing anyone. And I think what really speaks to that problem that the Democrats have in this particular messaging campaign is that, well, it appears not even African leaders seem to agree with the premise. We got a top diplomat from the African Union basically basically dismantling the entire talking point. I got a clip here going massively viral. Let me show you guys what's going on. Let's, of course, cut through all the Democrat dishonesty, BS, the smears, the manipulation. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so you guys know the talking point. Back in 2025, the Department of Government Efficiency basically gutted USAID and shifted it under the State Department. And very clearly, we covered it at the time. The left claims with the gutting of USAID, all kinds of programs that were saving all the sick kids across the world were essentially shuttered overnight. Now, millions have died as a result. First of all, there is no proof of this, no evidence, just academic speculation, these overly broad predictions. It's all a bunch of baloney, and really what was cut were all these wasteful USAID programs promoting like freaking transgenderism in foreign third world countries. We saw one program that was funding these French degenerate art lectures on Afghani women.
So this is in some ways often called the first piece of conceptual art. An artist called Marcel Duchamp, who's very important in Western art.
If the program was actually important and it was deemed worthy to be spending taxpayer dollars on, well, it's now shifted under the State Department's authority, and they're going to be going through the process of deciding what will continue and what won't. But the general claim here that the left is making is that USAID is an absolute necessity. It is a force for good. It's saving millions of lives across the globe. It must be protected at all cost. But as I said earlier, top African diplomats don't even agree.
We need to understand the real reason why USAID is in Africa. Their sole purpose was to act as if they're coming to rescue Africa. They're coming to fill in the gaps in government services, gaps in education, gaps in healthcare. They are coming in claiming that they're introducing grassroots initiatives that are going to help the people. And so they use that as a way to go into the most remote parts of Africa. They're talking about government advocacy. When you look at it on paper, it all looks really good, but they're actually wolf in sheep's clothing.
Damn.
They are using that open access sounding humanitarian to constantly destabilize governments. I can tell you right now, the majority of African leaders, and not just African leaders, but leaders in the developing world, are celebrating the exit of USAID.
And that, of course, is a whole lot more accurate of a description of USAID than the very dishonest, flowery description as we hear from the left. USAID is not doing clean humanitarian work. It's an ideological warfare weapon of the left. It's a corrupt left-wing NGO machine. Time and time again, the department has been exposed as both incredibly wasteful, first of all, and secondly, a vehicle for covert political operations. We just covered yesterday how USAID NGOs were pushing leftist propaganda across South America. Well, the same thing applies in Africa as well. They're essentially using this philanthropic cover while actually engaging in subversive political campaigns across the globe. These foreign aid programs are full of crap and should be shut down. And then we get to this disgusting argument that the left is making here. If people are dying across the globe to easily preventable illnesses or causes, then somehow we cause that death. That is a ridiculous standard, and it needs to be called out for the bullshit that it is. By that logic, America is responsible for every single death on the planet. An old lady in Indonesia fell down the stairs and we didn't save her. Elon Musk killed her. That is a completely insane, indefensible standard. We are not obligated to keep bankrolling the world indefinitely with no accountability on the other side. And at some point, we have to acknowledge that America cannot be the world's savior, cannot be Africa's savior forever. These countries are going to have to get serious about fixing their own problems. If the people of these nations and their leaders cannot deliver stability, security, or basic opportunity to their people, then that is on them. At some point, you have to take care of your domestic issues. You have to focus on your own country before saving everybody else. Now, of course, I know the immediate response to that would be, well, what about Iran? Donald Trump's intervening there. Yeah, well, obviously there's a difference if there's a genuine national security threat like Iran racing towards a nuclear weapon. That's worth real attention. But continuing to subsidize all of these corrupt nations who can't get it right themselves on truly basic stuff, that is a waste of money. It's a waste of resource, and it's not even necessarily helping them. It's just further, perpetuating this cycle of corruption in government, just enabling the corrupt autocratic leaders there. Why would they have to lift a finger if America is going to come in and solve the problems for them? Solve the problems, by the way, which again isn't even happening. In many cases, a massive amount of this aid never even really helps people on the ground. No, it's getting siphoned off by political operatives and consultants. You got middlemen laundering the money, skimming the cash. You got people taking the aid and then pawning it off. We've seen instances in South America where USAID is sending food to feed the poor, and it ends up in their local markets being sold to the people. All we're doing is feeding corrupt networks and lining people's pockets. And again, there's no direct proof of this claim that the left is making, that now millions upon millions upon millions of people.
Well, there you have it, guys. I'm glad you guys came with me and watch these videos with me, learn and see what's going on. Appreciate you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Catch you guys later.